Okay, everyone, I'd like to welcome everybody to the December 7th, 2020 Planning Board hearing for the town of Brookhaven. I'd like to begin with a roll call. Mr. Pete Zarcone.
Present.
Ms. Kelly. Ms. Kelly. Mr. Walutis.
Present.
Ms. Dunn.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
Mr. Rose.
Present.
Vincent Pascal, I'm present. We also have with us counsel to the planning board, Ms. Lee Raitt, commissioner of the planning department, Ms. Beth Riley, and secretary to the planning board, Ms. Eileen McCann. Ms. McCann, are there any items on the agenda that will not be heard this afternoon?
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Item number 16, Tyler Avenue at Miller Place has requested to be withdrawn.
Okay, how about number 12? Brixmore.
Item number 12 is going to be adjourned until January 11th.
All right, thank you.
Brixmore at SPE.
Okay, so. All right, Commissioner, we want to begin with item number 1, Old Orchard Drive, Old Orchard at Miller Place, I should say.
Yes.
Beth, before you begin, can I just make the announcement that if
Yep.
you're in the queue and you haven't put in what number you're here for, either in the Q&A or the chat, please let me know so I can let you into the meeting.
I just got somebody saying they can't get onto the website for the hearing. I don't know if IT can hear me, but they're saying they can't get on the website. He's here on number 2.
Hey Beth, did you just say somebody's having trouble connecting?
Yep. They're here for number 2.
Okay, we have a couple other people. If you want to give them the main public information line, we can help at 451-6260, and then we can help them get on.
All right. Sorry.
No problem.
451-6260.
Yep.
Okay. This is a relief of covenant for an increase in clearing limits from 48% to 70%. Survey depicts current clearing at 79.6%. The parcel is located, I need to share my screen. Sorry. Parcel is located within the Pine Barrens. The parcel is approximately 29,250 square feet. The Division of Environmental Protection has no objection to an increase in clearing limits based on similar approvals for parcels within the Old Orchard subdivision. The clearing limit of 60% would be consistent with the clearing limits for the lots of this size within the Central Pine Barrens. There are 5 staff recommendations. Denial of a clearing limit increase from 48% to 70%. Allowance of a clearing limit increase to 60%, revegetate areas in excess of 60% and submit a detailed revegetation plan, submit amended covenants and final survey prior to recording. And they are last dated 10/13/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Counselor, do we have an applicant present on this?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Can you please raise your right hand? You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay, state your name.
Amy DeVito, Woodhull Expediting with offices at 1031 Main Street, Port Jefferson, New York, 11777.
Ms. DeVito, have you received a copy of the staff recommendations?
I have, and we are, if you recall, Mr. Chairman, we're here back again. In the last hearing that occurred last month, I was discussing with the board if there was a possibility to consider an increase in the staff recommendation. I know that I believe Ms. Riley spoke with Brooks over in planning at length about how he came to the determination of this percentage. Brooks then emailed me and explained to me the reasoning why he came to this percentage, and quite frankly, it makes a lot of sense. And I've spoken to my client, and we agree with the staff recommendations.
Okay, Mr. Vito, thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who'd like to speak on this as well?
I have no one here.
Okay, any board members have questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Walutis. Okay, we're going to leave Mr. Walutis out. Mr. Rose,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Vito.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 2, Sunset Bluffs, lot number 28 at Miller Place.
Application is located on the north side of Sunset Lane East in Miller Place. Zoned A Residence 1, and the property area is 72,919 square feet. The applicant requests that the planning board relieve a covenant that was required for the subdivision known as the map of Sunset Bluff located at Miller Place. Subdivision received final planning board approval on July 16, 1984, subject to the following covenants. No lot shall be subdivided or its lot line changed in any manner at any future date unless authorized by the town, Brookhaven Town Planning Board. They also included other restrictions. Clearing and grading within each lot is limited to the amount necessary for siting and constructing a house, with the intent of preserving as much natural vegetation on the site as possible. And an area to be left natural and disturbed of at least 50 feet in width shall be established along Gull Landing Road and Woodhull Landing Road. The filed subdivision map, known as Map of Sunset Bluff, was submitted and approved as a 28-lot single-family development with typical roadways and recharge basin, and was based on the A residence zoning at the time. The area was upzoned to A Residence 1 in December 27, 1988. The map was not submitted or approved as a cluster, and therefore no public open space was donated. The applicant wishes to relieve the covenant for lot number 28 of the subdivision map. In the event that this board grants the relief, the applicant would proceed with an application to the Board of Appeals to create 2 lots on lot number 28. The concept plan depicts lot 1, 31,592 square feet, and lot 2 at 41,325 square feet. There are 6 staff recommendations. Approval of the request to relieve the covenant to allow 1 additional building lot on lot number 28 on the map, subject to the following. 1, subject to land division and variance approval by the Board of Appeals. 2, a future residential dwelling should be developed as far south as possible, subject to the Board of Appeals. The driveway should be located adjacent to the existing roadway or provide for a common driveway, subject to Board of Appeals. No clearing, grading, or other development within the existing drainage easement. No additional lots should be subdivided or lot lines changed in any manner at any future date unless authorized by the planning board, and all covenants and conditions shall remain in full force and effect, and their last dated 11/18/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilor Raitt, are you having luck with people signing in as participants?
Matt Sabatello says he's in.
Okay, so,
Yes, and Diane Moget is here for the applicant.
okay, you want to bring her in?
Hello.
Good afternoon, Ms. Moget. Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for your time today. Diane Moget, D&I Expediting Services with offices located at 779 Horseblock Road in Farmingville. Before proceeding with the application, I'd like to just disclose that the applicant, Mr. Paul DeChance, is an employee of the town of Brookhaven and serves on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is a parcel that's located on a filed map that was filed in 1984. It is the largest parcel in the entire filed map, and the applicant is seeking relief of the covenant to be able to divide the property. He's seeking to divide the property into two parcels, one of which being a flag lot configuration. If you look at the original filed map, you can see that there are several other parcels that have a flag lot configuration, and that's how the map was created back in 1984. I have submitted a survey to the board that shows the proposed configuration for the application that would have to be made to the Zoning Board of Appeals in order to receive approval. The first step for that is obviously to seek permission to be relieved from the no further subdivision criteria that's in conjunction with this filed map. In looking at the proposal for the division, you can see that lot 1 would be approximately 31,592 square feet, and parcel 2 being 41,325 square feet. As we stated, the subdivision was developed under a zoning, and currently the Suffolk County Department of Health zone requires 20,000 square feet. So it would in fact conform with the Suffolk County Department of Health, and it would also be in conforming with the rest of the map, as the lot size would be conforming with a zoning to which it was developed under. There is an existing single-family dwelling located on the property. As you can see, it's located to the rear of the property. It's set back way far back, so it makes it conducive to be able to create this additional lot in front of the existing home. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to try and address them at this time.
Okay, this is a filed map. It's not a cluster in any way.
Correct. It's a filed map. It was not a cluster. Actually, you know, at the time the map was filed, it could have been an additional lot. I can't really speak to why it was not at that time, but it certainly had enough lot area and is not unlike some of the other configurations on the overall filed map. As you look at the filed map, you'll see that there's several of the lots that were deeper and larger, and they did create, I believe, at least 2 or 3 other flag lot configurations.
Okay, I think we have one person would like to speak. Mr. David, you want to bring in Mr. Counselor? Can you hear me, Counselor?
I can,
There's
Mr. Chairman.
And there's a couple of people on the line. I'm not sure if they wish to speak, a Charles and a Brian.
Okay, so let's hear from Counselor Davis, then we'll bring whoever else wants to speak in.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Larry.
Good afternoon. It's Larry Davis, 175 Oak Street, Patchogue, New York. I represent Dmitry Demisov of 7 Bluffview Court and Severio and Antoinette Tadaro of 5 Bluffview Court in Miller Place. They are the 2 houses directly north of the property that is the subject of this application. I had the privilege of going to the site yesterday morning, and I have to tell you that I have not seen a site. I could not believe the drop off. I stood on Mr. Demisov's backyard at the very end point of it, and he has a retaining wall at the very tip of his property, and there must have been at least a 30-foot drop straight down. As I looked across the property, I saw the applicant's house, which was on pretty much an even level to where I was standing. And all of that property is part of the lot that he is looking to obtain from this change of relief of covenant and this application. Mr. Chairman, the grading here is unbelievably bad. There would have to be retaining walls, and I have to tell you, my clients vehemently oppose this application due to the fact that they are afraid of compromising their retaining wall and their style of living, where it could possibly collapse down into this giant hole. I know it's part of a drainage easement that was part of the filed map, but I have to tell you, in just looking at it, the amount of site work and the work that would need to be done would be just an incredible task to begin with. Secondly, I think I can answer Ms. Moget's question as to why there was not another lot as part of the original subdivision. This subdivision map was filed by Bill Hines. I can assure you that if Bill Hines could have squeaked another lot out of this subdivision map, he certainly would have. This lot was left as it is because of the steep drainage easement and the steep slopes that are on that proposed lot 1 that the applicant is proposing today. Some of the other reasons that this application should be denied is that there's a standard that this board and the zoning board hold in any change of or relief of covenant. And that standard is to show a change of circumstances. As Ms. Moget pointed out, this map was filed in 1984. These houses have been existing all in their present location for approximately 30 years, probably more like 33 or 34 years. There has been no change in the circumstances of this neighborhood. In fact, this would create something that this neighborhood does not have, and that is a flag lot. This lot is on a cul-de-sac. That is not a flag lot, Mr. Chairman. There are no other flag lots in this entire subdivision. If you look at the map, there appear to be a couple of flag lots, but those are not flag lots. Those are driveways that enter the rear yards of the property that front on Gully Landing Road. Those houses were being forced to face Gully Landing Road and have the driveways come in from Sunset Court and Bluffview Court. So if you can see them on the map, there's 4 of them all together. Mr. Chairman, in addition, I can point out of a hearing that this board actually denied an application for their failure to show a change of circumstances. It was a hearing of Ashley Holmes of Long Island dated November 5th, 2018. And the board voted to deny that application. In fact, Mr. Walutis asked the applicant, you said to the applicant, you have to show a change of circumstances. That is one of the standards. And in the decision, and I'm going to read paragraph 4th, when evaluating a covenant relief of this nature, the board looks to see what changes in circumstances necessitate the change. The applicant was asked at the hearing what change in circumstances would necessitate the removal of the covenants, and the only change indicated was that the home that existed at the time of the prior approval has been removed. That was particular for that case, but there has been no change of circumstances in this subdivision since it was originally built out. Paragraph 5 further indicated that there is no evidence of any change in the environment or other elements affecting the site. By allowing this application to be approved, there will be a substantial change in the environment. That drainage easement could potentially cause problems, not just for my 2 clients, but for the lot that's on the corner of Sunset Lane and Bluffview Court. And then in paragraph 7th of that same decision, it says the applicant has failed to demonstrate a change in circumstances related to the covenant sought to be repealed. Again, there have been no change of circumstances here. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to refer you also to a zoning board decision that the applicant, who writes his own decisions, voted to deny on this application. And these are his words on an application that was brought by Colcasey Homes on October 23rd, 2019 as case number 23. And he wrote, in the absence of any grounds to relieve the covenant in question, the relief requested would establish an adverse precedent by permitting parcels to be utilized in contravention to established covenants, resulting in an increased density contrary to development patterns and a deleterious effect on physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood. Clearly, those 2 boards have standards that have been set that is not being met by this application. The applicant bought this house with the covenant with knowledge, as did my clients. My clients both have adhered to the no further subdivision of lot. The applicant here bought his house knowing that there was a covenant of no further subdivision of lot. This is no hardship. This is a self-created hardship. He bought it, he accepted it when he bought it, and this is not a matter that should be approved by this board. the precedent that could be set by granting this relief of covenant could be widespread throughout the town of Brookhaven in any of these subdivisions where there may be an oversized parcel. This could have far-reaching effects throughout the town of Brookhaven that we really cannot allow. Mr. Chairman, this is a matter of just simple right and wrong. I am usually not on this side of the fence, as you know. I am usually a proponent of development, a proponent of building, but this application smacks in the face of good development. This is one of the applications that I have never seen that should never have been brought and actually should summarily be denied. In addition, there is a covenant number 2 on this map, which has not been addressed by this application, Mr. Chairman. It talked about the matter that, in fact, I'll read it. That way it's very, very clear. It says, clearing and grading within each lot shall be limited to that necessary for the siting and constructing a house with the intent of preserving as much of the natural vegetation on the site as possible. All of those conditions within the subdivision have been met and adhered to by all of the owners within this subdivision. This would completely violate that, and there has been no relief asked for with respect to covenant number 2. I am very surprised when I saw the recommendations of Mr. Surgan that this was recommended for approval. The only thing I can think of is on the map, it looks just fine, but when you visit that site tells a whole different story, Mr. Chairman. This is now, I don't think the planning board would be proud of to grant. With that, I'm going to ask the board, or you, Mr. Chair, if you may have any questions at this time.
I'm going to see if there's anyone else in the public would like to speak on this application.
Yes, just give me a moment and I will bring people in and out. Okay, I have Charles.
Hi, I'm Charles Lickel.
Yes, can I?
I actually own the property at 136 Woodhull Landing Road.
Do you have video? Excuse me 1 second, sir. Do you have video that we can see?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Can you please can you raise your right hand? You
Sure.
swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And your name is Charles. What's your last name?
Lickel, L-I-C-K-E-L.
Okay.
And I own the property at 136 Woodhull Landing Road. And my main concern here is the drainage from up in that area. When this development was originally developed back in the 1980s, and that recharge basin was added, when the drainages start getting clogged, we get a flood coming down Pathway Lane, which has an easement through the north edge of my property. And it washed out our driveway many times. Since then, we've removed the soil and put in crushed concrete there. That helped significantly. But I worry that on a sloped piece of property like that, whether this could aggravate the drainage issues even further.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just give me 1 moment. Okay, I have Brian Kilduff.
Yeah, how you doing? Can you see me? Start video.
Well, I could hear you, Mr. Kudoff.
Okay.
You have video as well?
I'm trying to allow, here we go. There we go. I think you should be able to see me.
Okay, can you please raise your right hand?
Sure.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay.
So anyway, I have to agree with Charles on what he was saying about the drain. Our house is right next door to Charles's house. And the drainage coming off of when they first built the development and then they put in a recharge basin, they let water spill off of Sunset Lane down our pathway behind our houses, and it washed out a lot of property at the time. It's very great elevation changes all around this whole property. And I believe, as Larry was saying, it's very difficult to maintain the drainage, especially when you're cutting out all these trees to put in another house. So I think that I would agree that this is not a good idea to build another property up there and reduce vegetation and create more washout opportunities. And not only that, but windfalls. I mean, the trees there are 80 feet, 100 feet tall. So any work of this nature would seriously damage the environment.
Okay, Ms. Kolos, thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor, we have someone else you want to bring in?
Yes, we have two more people actually.
Okay.
Bringing in Jason.
Can you see me?
Jason?
Yes.
Mr. Trelwick? Is that how Mr. Trelwick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you want to speak to this application?
Yes, thank you. I actually was going to bring up a point. I live at 26 Passway Lane, which is the lot that Mr. Davis was referring to earlier, where our builder sought to split the property into a flag lot. And it was not approved at that time because of conformance to the surrounding area. And there were also some comments about how the topology, how it was graded. And if you go and look at the lot on the subject lot, it's very similar, where you have very steep grading within that region. And you can obviously hear from the other neighbors that just spoke that there are significant drainage issues that could come from any changes in that area. So I just wanted to point out that, based on conformance, the splitting of a lot about similar size into a flag lot was not approved a few years ago. And I would say, I would at least request that that be considered and be consistent with that ruling just from a few years ago, that this proposal not be accepted.
Thank you, Mr. Trelwick.
Thank you.
Counselor, we have one other person.
Yes. Kurt Anderson.
Are they in?
Okay, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, hi, can you see me?
No, I cannot.
He's there.
Yeah, my camera's on there.
Okay, I got you now, Mr. Anderson. Can you please raise your right hand?
Yes.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, you speak on the application.
Yeah, hi, I live at 29 Woodhull Landing Road, and I would just like to say that when it rains, we get millions and millions of gallons that rush down this road. So I don't think it's too much different over in the area that they're talking about. I really think that the property shouldn't be changed at this point. It's also a wildlife refuge where a lot of wildlife live in this wooded area. So I would just like to interject that at this moment.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson.
You're welcome.
Counselor, anyone else?
That's it.
Okay, go back. You want to bring Ms. Mojay back in?
Diane still on.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, Ms. Mojay, did you want to respond to any of the speakers?
Just a couple of things. A lot of these issues I had planned to address with the zoning board, with an expert witness as to the drainage and as to the grade of the property and whatnot. I'll say that we are adjacent to a recharge basin. Some of the drainage is not necessarily going to be affected by the development of this lot, but rather than the surrounding area. I would also say that the adjacent property owners do have retaining walls of their own that range in approximately 12 to maybe 15 feet. So they're pretty substantial. So the development of this subdivision required the construction of retaining walls. And when the development was originally built, obviously the grade of the property required extensive grading and adjustment in order to construct the houses that do exist. So that's to be expected, especially on the North Shore. There are some of the questions that have come up that I was not equipped to address at this time, expecting to deal specifically with the relief of covenant, understanding that we have much further review to go through if this were permitted to go forward. I would request if the board has any other additional questions that I can take note of and try to address in the best manner possible.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Ms. Dunn?
Karen Dunn, yes.
Okay, Ms. Dunn, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My main question is, Ms. Mojay, I might have missed it during your presentation, but what, if anything, is the change in circumstance or hardship that brings this proceeding before us?
The change in circumstance predominantly is that the owner has one of the largest parcels in the subdivision, does have saw the ability and the amount of property in order to have a conforming lot that conforms with the surrounding area, as well as an adult child to offer an ability to stay on Long Island and build a home for.
How is that a change of circumstance, though? It was the biggest lot when he purchased it as well, no?
Yes, I understand that. I'm not suggesting, it's a change in personal circumstance, not a change in circumstance of the surrounding area, other than the fact that much of Long Island is being built up, that there are many more applications of this nature as of late than there have been through my 35 years of presenting applications. There have been developers and homeowners alike that have been a lot more creative looking to develop additionally. So as time progresses, that's something that you will naturally see.
Okay, any other questions by the board?
To that.
Ms. Moshe, you brought up an interesting point. There's some questions that you weren't prepared for, and I think the board's going to have additional information that's required on this application.
Absolutely, being aware, this is a jumping off point, and based on the circumstances, obviously there is additional information that needs to be gathered and brought forward.
Right, all we can do that is to hold this for an open date. Ms. McKay, how long, well, the next meeting is January 11th. I'm not sure what that agenda looks like at this time. Ms. McKay, do you have any idea what the 11th looks like and what's the next meeting after that?
January 11th is only a couple items on so far. And then the next meeting after that is January 25th.
Ms. Moshe, I think for the interest of the board, the problem we're having is because of this lockdown with COVID, we really don't have the opportunity to sit as a team anymore. So it takes a little longer to get this information.
Absolutely. Understand for our end as well.
So if we can hold this to the 25th of January, that would be more enough time for every board member, to get the information required, and you can do your research as far as some of the issues that were raised today.
And absolutely, that'll give us an opportunity to bring back whatever expert witnesses are necessary and be able to address some of the concerns that were brought forward, and we can answer them in better detail than at this point.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, Ms. Dunn, I think the latter January date would be sufficient for an open hearing. Okay,
Mr. Chair, sure. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to hold this matter open to a date certain of January 25th, 2021.
Okay, motion by Ms. Dunn to hold it open a date certain of January 25th, 2021.
Second by Richard Smith.
Second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
Vote aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Ms. Kelly. Be a new year.
Is Ms. Kelly present?
Yes, I am. Excuse me. I vote aye.
Okay. Mr. Walutis?
Sorry.
Mr. Walutis is not going to be with us for the rest of the meeting, so I'm going to excuse him. Mr. Smith made the second. Mr. Rose?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Mojay.
Thank you very much. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Yes, and same to you and your family.
Two.
Item number 3, Warren Avenue Plaza LLC at Ronkonkoma.
Property is located in the southwest corner of Warren Avenue and Portion Road in Ronkonkoma. Proposal is to modify a previously approved facade renovation at the existing shopping center. Facade change was previously approved by the planning board at the August 15th, 2016 hearing. No permits were issued and the application expired. The current application was approved by this board on January 10th, 2020. A color rendering was submitted at that time showing rooftop mechanical screening. A condition of the approval requested new detailed drawings matching the renderings to be submitted. The owner has submitted this new detailed drawing, but it does not match what the board had previously seen in February. So I'm going to show you what we have here. Let's see, F. Show you what was approved versus what we have. Doesn't seem right there. Here's what was submitted in January.
Amy, you're in the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Lee. For some reason, it wouldn't let me start my video.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Ms. DeVito, you've been sworn in for
Trying to get this stuff to come up, sorry.
Okay, so what we have here is elevations that were approved by the application presented to the board in January, and then when we asked for the detailed plans and everything, a whole different set of plans appeared. So you want to explain what's going on with this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board and Commissioner Riley, if you recall, we were before the board back last winter, pre-COVID. At that time, we were proposing more of a mansard roof where the screening would basically come right off the edge of the outermost facade. I don't know if you guys recall this, but at the time we were originally trying to propose something completely different and came to the conclusion of the mansard roof because the concern was that there wasn't screening for the rooftop units, which we now have proposed with the mansard roof. As it turns out, that particular plan was turning out to be a bit of an expense for my clients to build. So they worked with their architect and came up with this secondary, or I should say alternative plan, where we are still providing the screening, but the screening is being proposed by way of basically a built up, hardy wrapped screening around the rooftop. This is much more affordable for my clients to build. So that's why we're proposing the change. We're hoping that we could proceed with this so that they could actually begin the work and move forward.
All right, Mr. Vito. Counselor, is anyone in the public you want to bring in on this application?
There's no one.
Okay, I know the board has some questions on this application, starting with Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is the difference? Do you know the difference in cost between this latest facade proposal as opposed to the one that had the mansard roof?
I don't have any written proposals, although I probably could get those for you. But I believe it was pretty substantial, like to the tune of $30,000, if not more.
With all due respect, my opinion that the second one, I mean, we actually liked the very first one from 2016 a lot better than both of these, but as a compromise, the board and myself personally was willing to accept the second one, the simplified one with the mansard roof. To be honest with you, I'm not as, I don't think that this aesthetically is as nice as the one before. Just my opinion.
Understood.
All right, Mr. Smith. Any other questions by the board? So the only determining factor here in the change in the elevations is the monetary aspect of it. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Vito?
Yes, that is the only reason driving this reapplication or this resubmission of the plan. That's correct. Okay. And no, the plaza is not it's not at full tenant capacity right now. They are trying to make improvements as we legalize tenants and hopefully bring in new ones. We do have a new tenant coming into the further end of the building. That was the E-Legends gaming center that we had been before your board back over last winter. And at this point, they do want to beautify the building and clean up the property to obviously attract new tenants, but also to cosmetically improve the look in the neighborhood. But they do have to be mindful of cost to do that. And that is the reason why we are before you today.
Okay. Any other questions by the board? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Mr. Smith.
Second by Karen Dunn.
Second by Ms. Dunn. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly. Ms. Kelly.
I vote aye. I vote aye. Bad connection. I'm sorry.
Mr. Rose.
I vote aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Have
Vito.
a good holiday, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Take care.
Allied Physicians Group LLC at Rocky Point, item number 4.
The property is located at 346 Rocky Point Road, south of New York State Route 25A in Rocky Point. The applicant is proposing to split an existing tenant space into 2 for proposed medical use, including a minor facade modification. Subject falls within the New York State Route 25A Hamlet Center Overlay District. As such, wood carved or wood-like signage with direct lighting shall be required. Staff has 9 staff recommendations, last dated 11/20/2020, and the signage that is proposed is not in conformance with the land use plan.
I don't have, Mr. Chairman, I don't seem to have anyone present for this application.
Is no one actually presenting the application?
No, I have no one here for this application.
Oh, you know what? I'll come back to that. Maybe they're having trouble getting in. Is that okay, Counselor?
That's fine. Thank you.
Let's come back to it because they might have some technical issues. Let's go on to Enterprise at Rocky Point.
Property is located at 534 North Country Road, Rocky Point. It's Zone J Business 2. It is approximately 8,520 square feet. The applicant's proposal is to remove a condition from a prior approval for a motor vehicle rental. The site was granted planning board special permit for motor vehicle rental and variances in August of 2014. Condition number 3 of the grant limited the rental vehicles to 3. The applicant came back 4 years later and requested a violation report in order to make an application to the Board of Appeals to increase the number from 3 to 13. The BZA granted an application for a maximum of 10 rental vehicles, along with the other variances required, street trees, and a hedge to be installed on North Country Road. The necessary revisions to the plan have been made, and the applicant is before the planning board to remove condition number 3 so that it reflects that they have 10 vehicles on site permitted.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have someone representing this application?
Chris Robinson?
Yes, good afternoon. Chris Robinson from Robinson and Muller Engineers.
Mr. Robinson, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Ms. Riley explained it pretty succinctly. In 2014, we were in front of the planning board, and there was a condition placed on that there be no more than 3 rental vehicles stored. Subsequent to that, we went to the Zoning Board of Appeals and received a grant to store up to 10 rental vehicles, in addition to some signage variances that we had asked for at that time. We're here before you today to change that condition from no more than 3 vehicles to allow no more than 10 vehicles.
Are you asking us to amend the condition or to remove the condition?
I guess to remove the condition. Either one would be suffice.
Well, Councilor, my question is, instead of removing the condition, can we amend it to reflect no greater than 10 vehicles?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I just didn't hear you.
Instead of removing the condition, limiting it to 3, can we just amend the condition to state that no more than 10 vehicles?
Staff recommendations, there's 4 of them. They're up on your screen, last dated 12/4/2020. It says a maximum of 10 rental vehicles.
Okay, so they did that. All right, well, that was my
Yes.
question. Okay. All right, Mr. Robinson, is there anyone else in the public on this one, Councilor?
No.
Any questions by the board?
No.
May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Ms. Dunn.
I'll
Yep.
second that motion.
Second by Mr.
I
Zarcone. Ms. Kelly? Ms. Kelly?
I vote aye. I vote aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Rose?
I vote.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Item number 6, the Meadows at Yaphank, Phase 1B at Yaphank.
Property is located on the north side of the LIE North Service Road and the west side of William Floyd Parkway in Yaphank. The applicant requests to add entry signage to the Brio, also known as the lofts, indicated that it's similar to the reserve sign that they have previously been approved by this board. Staff recommends approval of the entry signage for this application, and it's located on the bottom right of your screen, and I cannot zoom in on it.
All right, Councilor, can you bring the applicant in?
I have no one here for this application.
I'd like to, we have, and that's the actual physical sign on the bottom right-hand side that we're looking at?
It's right there on the screen.
It's hard to see them.
I know, but I can't zoom.
Yeah.
I have several people in the queue still, Mr. Chairman, and that have not contacted me if they're here to speak on an application. So if you're here for this application, please advise. And if you have already done so, could you please let me know what application you're here to speak on?
All right, so we don't have the applicant for the Meadows. You know if the applicant showed up for an Allied Physical Group number 4?
I have nothing from number 4.
All right, well, I'm going to come back to item 6 as well and hold that, see if someone shows up. If not, we'll just make it to a different date. Item number 7, legal at Shirley facade change.
The application is located at 800 Montauk Highway in Shirley, Zone J Business 2, and it's 12.31 acres. The proposal is a facade change to the existing supermarket from Best Yet to Lidl. There are 8 staff recommendations for approval, last dated 11/24/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I have a few people in.
Good evening, everybody. Christian Toma from Lidl.
Okay, can you raise your right hand, sir? Just right hand.
Sorry.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, sir, you want to speak on the application?
Oh, Chairman, I'm going to do it for him. I'm going to
Okay,
take that.
raise your right hand.
Yep,
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay, and your...
My name's Kevin Ream. I'm from Bowler with an office located at 2929 Expressway Drive North in Hauppauge, New York.
Okay, Mr. Ream.
We're redoing the existing Best Market that's there right now. We're doing a full interior alteration. A portion of the space will be Lidl. The other portion right now is going to be for a future tenant, which they haven't decided yet. As far as the exterior work we're doing, new exterior wood panel finishes on the north and west elevation, just their standard Lidl package. New exterior doors, painting the exterior doors, new signage, just replacing the existing cart corrals that have been there. some exterior lighting that will comply with the town lighting code. And then an installation of a new bottle redemption center with an overhead door and a new trash enclosure for them.
There's currently work being done on the east end of this shopping center at the time. The facade change that you're proposing, is that following through the whole center or just the Lidl portion?
The work that we're proposing is just for the Lidl Center.
All right, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, that does.
Council, do we have anyone in the public on this? Councilor, great. Lee, do we have anybody in the public?
I have no one from the public, no.
Board have any questions?
No.
Commissioner, do we have a, sort of board to see, do we have a current elevation view of this shopping center at the present time?
There it is.
Okay. So what?
That's today.
Right. Now the Lidl elevations, how that blue, the rooftop, is that going to go to the very east end of the building as well, like this one, like the Best Market?
It looks to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, that they're not proposing to change the roof. It's going to be staying the same. It's just, I think, the way it's appearing.
Yeah, it's just a different, but that's correct, Beth.
So they're just proposing to really to change that box. What says Best Market, they're proposing to just swap that out for the wood plank and the Lidl sign.
Okay, all right. Any questions by the board?
I do, Mr. Chairman. It looks like on that proposed elevation that you've eliminated a bunch of windows on that elevation. Is that true? If you look at the elevations or the photographs that said Best Market, to the right of that sign, there's a lot of glass and windows and doors along there. And I think to the left also, are you taking all those windows out?
No, that elevation is the, hold on, I'm trying to pull it up. That elevation is staying, the one that's up there now. So we're looking at, that's the north elevation. And then the one below it is actually the east elevation. Oh, not the east, I'm sorry. The elevation facing Montauk Highway. So there's no windows being taken out there.
I don't see these. So. I see a west, south, east, and north elevation, and none of those reflect the windows that I see in these photographs.
I'm gonna. Robert, are you on from Larson?
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So on that that north elevation, we are keeping all the existing storefront and windows. The reason we wanted to show the expansive of the that elevation is just to show that the only thing we're making changes to or proposing changes is the space above the Lidl entrance.
Okay. So it's going to look more like
that rendering.
I guess the second photograph is what it's going to look like.
Correct.
Do you have an elevation for the west side? Because that's also an entrance to that market area.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's what we were looking at. Is that correct, Ed?
No, Mr. Chairman, I was looking at that north elevation. In the north elevation that they're proposing, it does not depict the windows.
No, I agree. Yeah.
So the north elevation is not proposing to add brick over the storefronts. They're just proposing to change the center.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mr. Smith, you're correct. I mean, you look at this elevation, because all those other windows have to do with different stores. The supermarket itself is actually to the south part of the center court or the center aisle. Am I correct, Mr. Ring? Yeah, those are additional stores facing north.
Yeah.
It is somewhat misleading what we're looking at, I'll be honest with you. You agree with it, Mr. Smith, now? You understand?
Yes, I understand what he's saying, Mr. Chairman. It's going to look, if you look at the photograph that has the
Best market.
The new logo, the second one that's on the screen right there,
Right.
the little one.
That's exactly
That's really what it's going to look like.
Okay, that's fine. Any other questions by the board?
No.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Oh, wait, before you go, I'm sorry, I know we closed this, but was there any mention of cart containment on this application as far as the shopping carts?
The staff did make a recommendation that we need to provide a cart management plan, which was requested on the other Lido we did in Selden. So we have to do that. And then also the name of the store, the address, and the phone number needs to be on the carts as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, item number 8, Sills Road Bus Depot, MDS fleet at Yaphank.
Parcel is located on the north side of Sills Road, 1,750 feet west of Long Island Avenue in Yaphank. It's zoned L1 industrial, is 4.79 acres. The proposal is to modify the existing site plan to allow for the change of facade to the dispatch office from brick veneer to horizontal hardy plank siding. Review of the proposed modifications finds that the overall architecture of the building is not substantially changing, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilor, we have the applicant present.
Yes, I'm Eric Russo.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Eric Russo, Van Brun, Jesuyak, and Russo with offices 140 Main Street, Sayville, New York.
Good evening, Councilor.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of MBS Fleet LLC, 209 Wading River Road, Center Mauritius. And we're here before you. This board is familiar. This application was back before you back in August for phasing, and you approved same. We have a building permit that we obtained for the site for the school bus storage on the facility. Based on that approval, we have also a temporary certificate of compliance for the parking lot. The building is presently under construction, and in reviewing the design that was put before the board previously, they came to the decision that the entire structure was a combination of stone, and it would look better with a hardy plank, brown hardy plank in the area that's being proposed now as opposed to brick. So it's back before you because the change has to be approved by your board. There are no other changes. Construction on the building is presently ongoing. You approve this, and then we'll continue putting the facade structure on the building.
All right, thank you, Councilor. Is anyone in the public on this? Councilor Reed?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Any board members have questions? May I have a motion?
No. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to close this public hearing and place this matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Ms. Kelly.
Board member Pete Zarcone, I'll second this motion.
Second by Mr. Zarcone. Ms. Dunn?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Rose?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Have a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year.
Thank you. You too, Eric.
Take care.
Item number 9, SM.
Eric.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on to number 9, I just wanted to ask, I have Michelle on the phone. For some reason, I'm not seeing any of Beth's screen sharing, and I wanted to try to figure out why. Michelle? Yeah.
Jim, can you guys hear that? John, is
Anyone from IT on?
Yeah, I have Michelle on the phone with me right now, and all I'm seeing is the Brady Bunch style.
Well, see if you can straighten out, Mr. Rose. SMW Property Holdings at Rocky Point.
Okay. Yeah, application is located on the north side of New York State Route 25A on west side of Fairway Drive in Rocky Point. It's Zone J Business 6 is 0.86 of an acre. The proposal is to modify the previously approved drive-through window location. There are 3 staff recommendations, which recommend approval of the revised elevation, approval of the proposed menu boards, and all of the conditions shall remain in effect.
Thank you, Commissioner. Counselor?
Yes, I have Eric Nicosia here and Kristen DeLuca.
Okay. Bring them in.
They're in.
Oh.
All right, whoever is making the presentation, you can begin.
Sure. So it's pretty simple and straightforward.
All right, well, before you begin, Ms. DeLuca?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, you can present it.
The initial application was submitted prior to a tenant in the space. And now that there is a tenant, they are coordinating their interior drawings and had requested the change for the drive-through window to work with their operations internally. And in doing so, we also moved the menu board for the drive-through stacking, which is reflected on the site plans.
Is this, are you eliminating the number of cars that are stacking in this particular area with this application? No, nothing changes. This is just to make the internal workings of the restaurant work.
Correct.
Councilor, do we have anyone else in the public that will speak on this application?
No, we do not, Mr. Chairman.
Board members have any questions? May I have a motion on this application?
No. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Ms. Dunn.
Second, Richard Smith.
Second by Mr.
Second.
Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly seconded. Mr.
I vote
Rose. Mr. Rose. Mr. Rose.
Muted, but he said aye.
Okay. Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Is he still having a problem getting on the video?
It looks like it, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have someone here for number 6, if you'd like to go back to number 6.
Yeah, okay. I'll bring them in. Commissioner, you want to go through the Meadows Bank application?
You need me to redo it, or you want to, it's just the sign?
Just bring everybody up to date. It's to sign the.
Hold on. Go back to it. The applicant proposes an entry sign for the Brio, aka the lofts, indicating that it is the sign that they're proposing is similar to one this board previously approved for the reserve, and the staff recommends approval of this entry sign. I'm just trying to load it up.
Councilor, who do we have representing this application?
Okay.
Dan?
All right, Tim, you're up.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, J. Timothy Shea Jr., Sir Tillman Ballin, 100 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York, for the applicant. I apologize for being late. Didn't know I was going to be doing this hearing until recently. My understanding is that the application in front of the board is merely for a monument sign to be placed outside the Brio, which is a residential community on the meadows at Yaphank. The signage replicates in large part the previously approved signage for the reserve, which is another residential community within the Meadows site plan. And we would ask the board to approve the signage as presented.
All right, Councilor, thank you. Anyone in the public on this from Councilor Reed?
We have no one.
Any board members have questions? May I have a motion? Ms. Kelly?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, motion to close by Ms. Kelly. Can I have a second, please?
To close.
Can I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, Board Member Pete Zarcone, I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Zarcone. Ms. Dunn,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Rose,
Aye.
the chair votes aye. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas, Mr. Shea, you and your family.
I don't think you'll get rid of me that quickly, Mr. Pascal.
Oh, don't tell me you got another one.
No.
Okay. Item number 10, the Arboretum at Farmingville.
The application before you is located on the south side of Horseblock. South side of Horseblock Road, 219 feet west of Woodbury Road in Farmingville. The project has several modifications requested. The modification of unit types, sizes, and architecture, modification of the single-family house sizes and architecture, demolition of the existing two-story frame dwelling located within the park, proposed new construction driveway location, amend the proposed park construction phasing and timing, and as a result, updates to the site plan as needed, alignment, grading, landscaping, SWIP, and a new affordable unit map designation. There are 6 staff recommendations, last dated 11/18/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Counselor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pascal, J. Timothy Shea Jr. again, Sir Tillman Ballin, 100 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York, for the applicant. As Ms. Riley indicated, the application before the board is for certain modifications of the site plan. The overall site plan remains substantially the same as what it was as approved by the board, with the exceptions of that we've been able to reduce the amount of fill that has to come into the to the site. Thus, there'll be less disturbance than there was on the previously approved site plan, and the square footages of the residential units on the site have been reduced. This reduction was acquired or done without reducing the number of bedrooms for each of the aforesaid units. We've kept all of the single-family houses on the outside of the project, nearest the residential houses to the east and the west of the subject site. We've held all the setbacks as previously provided. We've reduced the size of some of the single-family houses, of the single-family houses and the connected houses within the plan. The demolition of the two-story dwelling, there's an old two-story dwelling within the park area. The idea at first was to allow the Farmingville Historical Society to utilize the property for its meetings. It has no historical significance. It's not recognized by anybody, including the Farmingville Historical Society, as having any historical significance. The idea was that they would have meetings in that building, but the agreement was that they would be doing the repairs and the upkeep of the building on their own dime. It was discovered that there was substantial asbestos, among other things, that would cause the rehabilitation of that building to be extremely expensive. There is another community building proposed on site, which will be constructed and be on site. And there has been arrangements made to allow for the Farmingville Historical Society to utilize that building instead. We provided within our letter application emails and a written letter from the Historical Society supporting that part of the application, allowing for demolition of that building.
That was located in the park area, am I correct?
That is in the park area, correct. The amendment to the construction driveway was that the original construction driveway was going to share the main entrance to the multifamily residential areas, including during phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 would result in completion of up to 44 units. And we felt that having the construction vehicles enter and exit the premises and the same driveway as being utilized by residences, by the residents of the project during the full construction and build out of the project would cause a traffic conflict and would be unnecessarily dangerous. So we did was we relocated the construction driveway to the east of the post office and along the easterly side of the proposed park. We worked with Mr. Wiebelt on the design of the driveway, arrived at the design, which has been approved by, which is recommended for approval by Mr. Wiebelt, which will avoid substantial destruction of trees along the frontage and along the easterly boundary line between the proposed park area and the commercial property to the east. So we're able to save a number of trees by actually locating that driveway in the proper place. Whatever trees are going to be taken down, obviously going to be replaced as part of the landscape plan, which is part of the application. The request for the driveway has necessitated a request for an amendment of the one condition for full completion of the park. The majority of the park would be completed in phase one, as previously stated. We are seeking to have the balance of the park, meaning the areas in and around the driveway area, would be completed by the 244th unit, and we would ask for approval of that part of the phasing plan.
What percentage is majority mean? Is it greater than 50%?
Probably about 75 to 80%. It's really just the area on the easterly side where the construction vehicles will be entering and exiting. And that's really to make the site safe for the people who would be living there as construction is going on, because there are 292 units that ultimately will be constructed on this site.
Have you had any discussions with the community? Because there was quite a few residents who spoke on this. There really was no application when it was approved. Have you presented any of these modifications to the local organizations?
We have talked to the Historical Society with regard to a fair amount of these modifications.
But none of the actual, I'm not sure if there's a local civic group that would be concerned with this matter.
We have not reached out to that, but the same person who represents the Historical Society actually is also the same person who represents the Civic Association, and she has not raised any concerns with this at this point.
I just want to put that on the record.
Yes, sir.
Let me see if there's anything else on this that it was pointed out to us by Mr. Wiebelt in looking at the plan that we needed to add to the plan the fact that we had the 25-foot vegetated buffers requirement along the eastern and western sides of the property. We have incorporated that, and we will be providing additional plantings and a planting plan for those areas to insulate the neighbors to the east and the west. That was something that I think everybody overlooked at the time of the site plan, and Mr. Wiebelt was quick to discover that, and we're going to provide that additional planting and put it in our landscaping plan. And I think that covers all the requests for modification of the plan.
Councilor, is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak on the application? What?
No.
Oh, okay. Board members have any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. This is Richard Smith. How is I see the shaded area, I have it up on my screen here in my office. How is that going to help you not interfere with other things going on in phase one when that driveway actually dumps in to the lower third of phase one? How does that work?
Well, no, phase one would be, if I may, phase one would be the westerly 2/3 of the park area. The driveway access would go into what's that's not phase one. Phase one is on the far, for the most part, other than the park area. And it may be some confusion with the way that the phasing map lays out, because when I looked at it, it was a little confusing because the phasing lines actually kind of bracket around certain areas. So phase one is located on the southerly side of the property, very far away. In fact, the furthest part of the property away, and with certain exceptions being the east and west side with some of the single family housing. which are, again, on the southerly side of the property, very far away from the parkland. So I think the issue is that the phasing plan, until you really take a look at it, appears to have more phase one than it does. This area where all these multifamily units are closest to the park are actually in later phases. They are not part of phase one. Just so you understand it.
Okay. Another question. How you're making this, you said that you're making the proposed single family detached dwellings, you're making them smaller.
Correct.
What were they and what are they going to be now?
They would be going from, you'll have to give me a second, from 3,600 to 2,200 square feet. So there'd still be substantially sized buildings.
And you said you would maintain the same number of bedrooms in them. Why are they making them that much smaller? That's like a 33% smaller.
There are a number of reasons, both with regard to marketing and cost, that led the developer to make this application to reduce the size of the single family dwellings.
And getting back to the service road or the eastern secondary service road that's still coming off a Horse Block Road does not go through any of the existing developments.
No, it does not. And we've gotten we've provided an email from Suffolk County DPW acknowledging that they're okay with the creation of the construction entrance in that particular area.
And the single family dwellings, I didn't remember now if there was a question or you didn't know yet if these were going to be rentals or if they're going to be sold.
Everything's going to be rentals.
Rentals.
They're still going to be rentals. Okay.
Right.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Shea. Our staff report indicates that the number of bedrooms is going from 4 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms in those single family residences.
Oh, I may have misspoke with regard to the single family. I apologize.
So they're not going to
all the multifamily. I apologize. I did not. I misspoke. It would be going from 4 to 3 bedrooms. I apologize. And the other, again, I'm rereading the report.
The beginning of the unit types, part of our staff report.
Yeah.
And you are correct. The multifamily is staying the same. The townhouse A, B, and stacked flats, the bedrooms are remaining the same.
Correct.
Mr. Smith, does that answer your questions?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions by the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. This is Board Member Pete Zarcone. Mr. Shea, I'm asking a question in regards to the building you're looking to take down in the park.
Yeah.
My understanding originally was that was going to have 2 purposes. One was going to be for the Civic Association to use at certain times. And I thought it was also going to provide restrooms for the people who were going to be frequenting the park.
No, that's actually the other building. The other community building, which will be on the site, will have bathrooms and will have community areas for both the Civic and for the Historical Society. There were going to be 2 buildings in the park area.
So now one's coming down, but there's still going to be a facility for restrooms for people throughout the park?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions by the board?
No.
Oh, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Board Member Pete Zarcone. I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
I second that motion.
Motion to close by Mr. Zarcone, second by Ms. Kelly. Ms. Dunn?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Rose?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Item number 11, Lumberjacks at Selden.
Property is located at 211 Middle Country Road in Selden. It's Zone J Business 2, and the site is overall is 26.39 acres. The proposal is a change of use from 3 vacant offices to an axe throwing venue with a special permit for assembly and social recreation hall requested. No site work is proposed, no facade is proposed. Signage will be handled by the building division at the time of building permit. Staff recommends approval. And there were 4 staff recommendations, last dated 10/6/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Counselor?
Yes, I have Raymond Glynn coming in.
Okay. I think you actually have to speak before that actually triggers the video.
Sorry about that, everybody.
All right, Mr. Glenn?
Yes, how are you?
Okay.
Mr. Glenn, do you have video?
Yes, his video's on.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Glenn, can you just speak up?
I'm sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize.
Can you raise your right hand? You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you want to put in your application?
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time tonight. So my application is in reference to 307 Middle Country Road, as you know. I'm looking to turn 3 vacant storefronts. Actually, it's 2 vacant storefronts and one that is vacant. It's going to turn vacant, and I'm going to be turning it into this. And I'm also applying for a social rec hall and general assembly.
This is for axe throwing?
Yes, sir.
Is that something, there are other places in Long Island that have similar?
So as of right this second, there is one in Islip. There's a bunch of them in the city and all over the country. It just hasn't really come out here. So there's another one in Islip that's also in the process of opening, but because of COVID has been delayed. So I would be number 3.
And do you have a liquor license in this?
I'm getting one, yes. It's going to be tavern wine. It's just going to be beer and wine, no liquor.
I mean, you know what the obvious concern would be. I mean, how do you control that?
I do. So it's actually proven to be extremely safe. Believe it or not, there's actually more injuries bowling a year. I understand what it looks like and the aesthetics of it. Every single, if you look at the drawing, so every 2 lanes are together technically, and every 2 lanes is going to have a safety staff on it. So they'll be watching. Everyone throws at the same time on each 2 lanes. So there'll be no one walking down. There'll be no one in front of the axes. So every 2 lanes would have a safety staff on at all times. They are TIP certified, so they're going to have certifications that that allow them to foresee any intoxication in advance. And if they see that, they're instructed to stop the person that's throwing and either ask them to stop throwing or remove them from the venue totally.
Okay, as long as somebody's courageous enough to stop somebody with an axe in their hand, that's fine by me. I'm not so sure that's the case, but I mean, we're not controlling the use. All right. Anyway, is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak on
Yes,
this?
Mr. Chairman, I do have someone from the public. Hold on just a moment.
It's probably Ebola.
Mr. Anderson, where is he?
Hello.
All right, Mr. Anderson, can you please raise your right hand?
Yes. Yes, I do.
You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'd just like to let you know I am an owner of the other axe throwing venue that this gentleman was speaking of in Islip. My concern here is back in February of 2019, I came to Brookhaven Town Hall to ask to put a axe throwing venue into Brookhaven Town. I went to planning, I went to building. They told me you will not do axe throwing in Brookhaven Town at all. Now, I don't know what changed from that point to today, that this is moving forward in I think it's J2 zoning. I don't know what changed, if there was any exploratory meetings prior, in between the time that I came to the town and was told, no, you can't open in our town till, today.
Well, I can't answer that question. I would defer to council only because this is the first time I'm actually seeing any application of this type of nature.
Right.
So whatever stopped it in the past, it never got to this point.
Okay, I do see, I was just denied flat out from the town. I know the town worker that told me in planning that you just can't do it. It's not in the books. But I see a lot of design flaws in the design I'm looking at here. Safety issues in design. I would also like to say that alcohol and axes do not mix, period. That is a recipe for disaster to happen. I've been operating my axe throwing venue for 1.5 years, minus a couple of months from COVID being shut down. And just people regular without alcohol is dangerous. I could just imagine adding alcohol into axe throwing. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
And I went to Islip Town because Brookhaven Town told me no, that you can't open here. And it's kind of disheartening when you live in Brookhaven Town for 57 years and you turn around and told no. So I also asked if I could open up a venue, Olympic training facility. And it's this Olympic sport. And I was also denied that also.
Well, before you go any further, when you say you asked, did you make an official application, or were you just talking to people off the top and asking questions whether or not this could be accomplished? You never really made an official application for any of these venues.
I never made an official application because they told me no, well, you can't do it.
Again, I don't know who you spoke to.
Well, I know who I spoke to. Well, I spoke to Glenn Pisano.
Okay.
And can I just can I intervene and answer that?
Not just yet, not yet.
Okay.
Let the public finish speaking, and then
I'll come back to you.
Okay, no problem.
Are you finished, Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the public, Councilor? Do we have anyone else in the public on this application?
no, just give me 1 second though.
No.
I would like to say I would like the town to deny the application. That's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson. You have no one else, Councilor?
No.
Okay, Mr. Gwynn, you want to respond?
So my only response would be most of the hatchet and axe throwing places around the country serve alcohol. And there are very, very, very few injuries or even anything that has been brought to anyone's attention. He's actually one of the only ones that don't serve alcohol. So for him to say that, I don't understand how he could say that. Also,
well, basically that's going to be between you and the State Liquor Authority.
Yeah.
And any injuries that occur, then the onus is going to be on yourself.
Of course.
Insurance and liability, and not on this board.
No, of course.
All right. Any questions by the board?
Mr. Chairman, John Rose, board member, has a question, and I'd just like to know if there's any safeguards put in place so that patrons will not bring the axes outside the building into the parking lot, because Selden Plaza is a pretty busy shopping center.
So with that, the axes are at the end of every turn. People walk out of the lanes, and then the next two walk into the lanes. The axes never leave the lane. So people aren't just wandering around with the axes. They never, ever leave the lanes, and the staff is instructed to never, ever let them leave the lanes.
Okay, and you have somebody at the front door, I guess, monitoring? Is there a counter?
Well, there's a reception area right in the only entrance in the front of the building that will be overseen by the reception people that check you in when you come in the door.
All right, thank you, Mr. Glenn.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And you must have some kind of an order as far as the serving of alcohol in an establishment like this, where you're monitoring it, or?
Of course, of course. As I said, every single staff safety member is going to be a TIP certified safety member. What that is, it's an online course. They're trained to see any early signs of intoxication. And if they see those signs of intoxication at all, they're instructed to remove the person from the lane, if not from the venue as a whole.
And you're presently seeking a SLA license, is that correct?
Correct.
And they're aware of the nature of the business?
Yeah, there's multiple ones in the city that have a liquor license. So I'm not the first one.
Okay. No other questions by the board?
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Chairman. This is Board Member Pete Zarcone. I'm just not familiar with the axe throwing concept. Is it similar to like darts where you have 3 axes? How does that work?
So the way it works is, that's actually what I tell people, because whenever I tell people that I'm opening up or trying to open up a hatchet throwing place, they all look at me like I'm crazy. I try to tell them that it's darts with axes. So the way it is every single lane has 1 axe. 1 and 2, as I said, are, let's just take 1 and 2, for example. They're 2 separate lanes, but they're treated as 1. So those 2 lanes would throw at the same exact time. They would both then, go down to the target, retrieve their axe, go back to the throwing line and throw again. If you notice on the drawing, in between like 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, there's a darker line. That's actually a fence. So 3 can't hit 2, 5 can't hit 4. It's just not possible.
So basically right now there's only 2 axes in that particular area. They both throw at the same time. So there's no chance of one walking in front of the other one when they throw.
No, they throw, they walk down together, get the axe, come back, and then they're instructed by the safety person to then throw again.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is this competitive? I mean, is this something you have teams, or is it somebody just shows up on a whim and you want to throw an axe and they just?
No, so there are actually leagues. It was on ESPN a couple weeks ago. There's the World Axe Throwing Championships. It's absolutely competitive. We're going to be starting leagues, and then hopefully I can invite these other axe throwing places that are around the island to join leagues with me, with my business, and we could all have fun.
I do have one other question, Mr. Chairman. This is Pete Zarcone again. What are they throwing the axe into? What kind of a material?
So it's 2 by 10 pieces of wood on top of a plywood wall. So the wall would have plywood, then the target is 4 2 by 10s.
And how often do you have to change that, or is that something that is pretty durable?
No, it does have to be changed. The wood is wet. It's moistened to prevent splintering. But it does have to be changed as needed, depending on how many people are, in the business. If it's packed for one night, it'll probably have to be changed, 1 or 2 times a night. It just all depends on how much it's being hit with the axes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Mr. Rose.
Second, Richard Smith.
Second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly.
I
Ms. Dunn.
vote aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Motion closed. Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday.
You too.
You too.
Item 12 is being held to January 13th. Item 13, Long Island Safe Surf Park at Shirley.
Property is located on the south side of Precision Drive, west of Ramsey Drive in Yaphank. Property is owned L1 Industrial, is 3.46 acres. The application before you is an amended site plan with a special use permit application of Long Island Surf Park at Shirley, which is to construct a 7,097 square foot recreation building with accessory restaurant, a 63,625 square foot outdoor recreation wave surf pool. We're seeking an amended application to their previously approved June 17th, 2019 application. They're asking to add a new pool equipment room adjacent to the equipment bunker. The equipment bunker is being changed in elevation from 64 to 49. The wave pool configuration, the wave pool has been decreased from 67,511 square feet, and the depth has increased from 7. Their service walkway, which runs along the north and south sides of the new wave pool, are now proposed to be constructed as a timber service walkway along with timber stairs and railing rather than the original proposed concrete. Additional retaining walls are proposed based on the new pool configuration. The amended site plan now includes wave pool facing lighting on all 4 sides of the wave pool. They are also proposing that this land use will now incorporate nighttime facility usage. They are proposing new light fixtures in order to accomplish this. The access materials fees is increasing from 38,000 to 54,698. And the applicant's website depicts a site plan other than that which is proposed before you today. Staff does recommend approval. There are 12 of them, and it is last dated 11/17/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Counselor, the applicant present?
Yes, I'm here, and Elward is also here, and also Victoria, I believe. Matt Elward's going to be here.
Wait, before you go, are you on a Wi-Fi network?
We're next to each other. Hold on. Is that better?
Can you lower your volume? It's like an echo.
We had 2 computers next to each other. I apologize.
That's a little better.
You're better now.
Okay, so I have Mr. Portera and Mr. Awood.
Yeah.
Are you both part of the application?
Yeah.
Okay, we both, please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. One of you gentlemen want to speak on behalf of the application?
No. I'll speak. Good afternoon, Matthew Aylward with Robinson Muller Engineering of Huntington. On behalf of Brett and Chris Portera, as Ms. Riley had said, there are some changes to the previously approved plan from June 2019. And just to quickly go through them, after we received the conditional approval from the planning board in June of 2019, the design team began to fully detail the mechanical components, the surf pool filtration systems, the wave generation systems, and the power systems. And during that process, it was determined that some changes in the pool depth and the geometry were needed in order to achieve the correct wave that they were going for. Now, it should be noted that the percentage of land clearing has not increased and that we're still complying with the compatible growth requirements. I'll give you an outline of some of the changes. The pool filtration and mechanical equipment bunker, which is on the west side of the pool, needed to increase from 15 to 28 feet to accommodate the layout of the wave generation equipment, as well as to accommodate the filtration equipment, and just to get the water to move around to as both processes were occurring. We added also a pool pump house equipment room on the west side. That new pump house is proposed on the west side of the surf bunker. That pump house is 24 by 54 and is essentially connected. It's a connected vault area that houses the circulation pumps and provides adjacent area for the water. Like I was saying, as the waves are pushing water away, we're trying to get water into the filters. So it allows us to kind of have like a reservoir where we can keep moving the water around. As part of these changes, we also did increase the depth of the pool by 12 feet. So it went from 7 feet to 19 feet. That again, too, is to generate that surfable wave that they're looking for. Volume of water that's required to push through these chambers and valves just needs that additional depth. And in order to get the right shape, we had to kind of modify the contour from what was previously proposed as well. So it created like a deeper area on the west side, but then it comes up a lot shallower, almost to like a sandbar type thing. As a result of deepening the pool, we are now removing more material, going from 34,500 cubic yards to 55,000 cubic yards. In going back and forth with the health department, we also added steps on the east side of the pool between the pool and the clubhouse, just for accessibility reasons, so that people, there's not like basically a wall with a deep end. You can approach the pool, you know, at a sufficient angle, a more welcoming angle, we should say. And lastly, the surf pool lighting was added. As all of these changes were taking place, it was determined that the lights would provide additional opportunities and extend access to the surf park, both for members of the surf park as well as the general public that want to use it. The lighting fixtures are 20 foot in height. They're LED full cutoff, and they are dark skies compliant. They're the same fixtures in the parking lot. There's just more heads. And all those lighting that we're providing within the pool, those levels, are based on what the health department is requiring of us.
Your lighting scheme, are you going to be able to start provide an engineering report certification that would meet town code for dark skies?
I think one of the conditions says that we will provide certification at the end when everything is installed, that everything does comply with dark skies.
I ask because it seems like an awful lot of lighting is going to be necessary to illuminate the pool certain hours of the day. So, I mean, I'm not sure. And you have lighting fixtures that will adhere to that code?
Yes. Yeah, that's why the quantity of light, the number of fixtures that are there. In some cases, we have 4. In other areas, we have 6.
I know
and that's to get the illumination levels.
On the original application, you said lighting was not necessary for this park. That's
correct. As it evolved, correct. They realized that there was that window in there where they could provide additional opportunity.
And then, can you explain why there's a difference or a discrepancy in what site plan is being proposed and what you have on your flyers and what you're advertising?
As far as what we see up on the screen there, those are just really artistic renderings. And to be honest, they are relatively close. They're very accurate. If you look at the top picture, that is a rendering of the front of the clubhouse. That does resemble what was submitted in terms of the building elevations by the architect. The middle picture there is something there that's not exactly on our plan, and that's like that little shed type looking thing onto the left. I believe that was just like the person who was doing the rendering, or there was some miscommunication, but that is not part of our site plan. So that's an inaccuracy.
And this is still open to this is still open to the public as well as membership only? How does that work?
Yes. So it's the same as it was in the last application. There will be members that belong to the surf club, but the times that aren't used by those members, it will be open to the general public where they can sign up for certain windows and come surf at a whatever rate is determined by Brett.
When you say open to the public, it's open to the public all day long, or just certain hours that not going to interfere with private membership?
It's open to the public in terms of, like, I think now we're only allowed to have 10 surfers in the pool at a time. So if 10 surfers that are members of the club do reserve that time slot, let's say 12 to 1, then it won't be open to the public.
Okay.
Right? If there's only 5 members between 2 and 3, then those 5 slots, Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, those 5 slots would then be available to anybody that's not a member.
Right. There's tremendous opportunity to kind of split this business model. And the reason mainly for adding lights, if you look at other parks around the world, for example, Urban Surf that's in Melbourne, Australia, their most popular times right now have been early in the morning when it's dark out and late at night when it's also dark out.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask is because the original application, you were fairly adamant about not needing lights. I mean, right. I can't understand what you looked at as far as the time, what would change your mind between now and then?
So between now and then, the project that I just referenced, the Urban Surf that's in Australia, they opened their doors and they have really been the first and only surf park to open in the world. So there were a lot of learning opportunities that were presented because of that. And as I said, their dark skies times, or night times rather, were a big hit for them. So that was a big push for us to investigate how can we incorporate that into this project and extend not only our hours of operation throughout the day, but also throughout the year, because right now it gets dark at about 5 o'clock. So it allows us to expand into the winter as well, which we've also seen there that there's people going all hours of the day, specifically when it is dark out. So
What are the hours of operation?
ideally, we would like to operate from about 6 o'clock in the morning to about 11 or 12 o'clock at night. That's basically been what we've seen around the world as becoming basically standard time slots. The morning for us, which I'm not sure how much of a concern that is, the sun's coming up. We are in an industrial park. We're not very close to any residential housing. That's because you have people who mainly surf now and they surf in the ocean or surfing prior to work. So that's the reason why we'd like to be open early. As far as late goes, the same reason. There's no lights in the ocean. We know that there is a demand for dark sky times or nighttime sessions. So that's the reason for wanting to go later into the night.
Councilor, anyone in the public on this application? Do you have anybody? No?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't.
Does the board have any questions?
I do, Mr.
No.
Chairman.
Go ahead.
This is Richard Smith. I think you said that you were changing the depth, I guess, on the deep end. Was it 15 feet to 20 feet or 15 feet to 28 feet?
It was originally about 8 feet, I believe, and now the pool's about 19 feet.
No, the gentleman that was speaking before said that on the deep end, it was going from 15 feet to either 20 feet or 28 feet.
No, it's going from 7 feet to 19 feet. There's a 12-foot increase in depth.
Okay, now, was this based on a model that had been out before?
It's based on, Brett can talk to this, but it's based on the modeling that they're coming up with this new technology.
Right, so short story, we looked at all the available wave making technology. We are unique in the fact that we have a small footprint in terms of surf pools. So there was really nothing on the market that was, I guess, plug and play. So we did hire an engineer who has spent his entire life working both for the Navy and working in computer coding and building wave pools and aquatic things in nature. And he has actually designed this wave pool. And that's also that's really the reason why we are back here again today, because between our submission and approval last time to now, we have designed our own system, a proprietary system that will be the first of its kind. And the reasoning for the change in depth is because of the way that the wave is being generated, the quality of the wave that's actually being made from this pool. Nothing that's out there today will be able to hold a candle to basically what our engineer has designed and what we have designed, and that's due to mainly to the depth of the pool.
So you had a basic design or some sort of a template from something before, and then you came to us and we approved it, and then you hired an engineer who told you of a better way to do it, or a different way to do it.
So originally, like I said, we visited with 2 or 3 different companies that made surf pools that would fit this mold. They were not able to assure us that they would be able to produce the size and quality of wave that we were out to get, and that would really make this project, world known. So that is why we went and hired our own engineer. It was not the first thing on our list. It was not in any way, shape, or form us giving you guys a template and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, and then try to pull a fast one on you. It just so happened that we did our research. We weren't comfortable with the answers that we were given, so we went a different direction, which involved building our own technology. Luckily, the technology that we have designed for this pool is able to fit in the same footprint. If you notice, the footprint itself of the pool hasn't changed, the depth has changed.
Yeah, I wasn't anyway insinuating that you were trying to pull a fast one on us. There's such a discrepancy in the difference. I was just wondering how you got to that.
Right, and if you look at the engineering behind these pools, it really hasn't changed in a very long time. I'm talking about 100 years, 50 years or so. So our take on an already proven technology is what has led us to this point. So we're not using anything new. We didn't reinvent the wheel, but we're reinventing how it's being applied, basically.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions by the board? I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion closed by Ms. Dunn.
Second by Richard Smith.
Second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Thank you.
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Motion carries. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 14, 520 William Floyd LLC at Shirley.
This is a continuation of the hearing at the last planning board meeting. There's a construction of a gasoline filling station and a convenience store located at 520 William Floyd Parkway in Shirley.
Okay. Council, is the applicant present? Councilor Ray?
Yes, they're coming in right now.
Okay.
Evening, I'm Glenn Graham with Graham Associates. I believe Kevin O'Brien, the attorney, is going to present the application. I am the architect and I will follow up with any questions.
Okay, well, if we have questions for you, can you please raise your right hand? You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay, all right, we have Councilor O'Brien.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the board, council, and the commissioner. Kevin O'Brien from O'Brien Law PC, offices at 462 Sagamore Avenue in East Williston. And I'm looking at the plans which are before the board, and I know we have my design professional. Presently, I'm with the property owner who's also the applicant. And at another location is Glenn Graham, who's a design professional. I'm just noticing we had been before the board on November 9th. And at that time, we were revising some of the plans. So the plan that's before the board, while similar, is not necessarily the most recent plan because we revised some of the elevations to reflect the four-sided front, in particular, what would have been the east elevation. So I don't know, Glenn, are you able to, because I'm looking at the plan that's on the screen right now, and that doesn't reflect the most recent elevations. Glenn, is there a way that you could bring those up?
That's correct, Kevin. If I may have permission, could I share my screen and bring up some renderings we've prepared?
Well, let me just, I know Councilor O'Brien, he requested to have dialogue, and I have never had any direct dialogue with you, but I have been communicating with the planning member on this, Mr. Albano. And you know my concern as well as the board's concerns as far as the board not facing the main thoroughfare. Why can't you do that? I mean, I don't care what you do to the side of the building, it's still a side of a building. It's never going to be the side that's facing the main thoroughfare because people who are driving north on William Floyd Parkway are still going to be looking at the side of a building as well as the rear of the building.
Mr. Chairman, may I pull up, be able to share my screen so I could show some renderings?
You can show us the most beautiful rendering you want. It's still a side of a building, okay? What you have facing the north is a beautiful building.
Right. Well,
that's also what we want. That's what we want to see facing the highway.
In 2015, when we embarked on this project, we presented several applications to different members of the town council, I believe the town attorney, and we illustrated having a building face William Floyd would have been practically impossible to create. This is a longer, narrow lot, unlike the Speedway that's across the street that does face William Floyd Parkway. Our lot is much narrower, but wider.
But doesn't that beg the question that says maybe this is a proper location for this particular size building?
Well, this was a gas station, I believe, since the 50s, and we're locating the building in the same spot. I would like to just illustrate to the board, if you wouldn't mind, could I share the screen to show the rendering? Because we have prepared renderings from if you were driving south on William Floyd and north on William Floyd. So you could see
You can put them on the screen. I have no problem. The board can look at them. They want to see them, but I also know that where your propane tanks, your trash receptacles, and things of that nature.
They would all be in the back of the building.
Right. Okay,
yeah, they'd be screened from public view.
So IT, can you allow Mr. Graham to share his screen?
Thank you.
All right, he should be able to.
Okay, give me 1 sec.
Yep.
On a somewhat limited basis, we have changed. Oh, here we go.
Is everyone able to see that? This first rendering is William Floyd Parkway heading south. We have 4 pumps, 3 of which are in the screen. And then the building, as you noted, Mr. Chairman, is on the smaller side faces William Floyd, with the larger side facing the side street. This second rendering would be if you were coming north. From the last hearing to this hearing, we have recreated a new front facade, and also the back has been dressed up, so anyone coming up the side street, you'd be able to see this. We've removed some of the plantings from the front and the side here. There would be street trees here and more plantings, but we felt as though to illustrate what the building would look like, we removed some of the plantings. We could keep it this way or add plantings. That's up to the board to decide. I also wanted to show you some other locations within a mile radius of this particular site that also are narrow buildings that face their frontages on the street. This happens to be a bank. We have the Checkers right down the block on William Floyd, also very skinny frontage, corner lot, similar to ours.
Yeah, but what we're looking at is the front of a building facing the highway. I mean, I'm not worried about precedent. Okay, we don't deal with precedent. If somebody made a mistake in the past, that's their problem.
I'm guessing this is the front of a building facing the highway.
Exactly. So this could also be the front of the building, similar to the other buildings that Mr. Graham had indicated. So this could have access and it can visually be from William Floyd Parkway. So the front of the building does not necessarily have to be the widest portion of the building, and that would act as the front of a building. And the language in the town board resolution was such that the elevation shall be designed to appear as a building front facade on all 4 sides, so as to give a more aesthetically pleasing look, so as to use good materials on all sides of the building. Unlike one of the prior applicants of this evening, we did not seek to reduce the quality of any of the materials. If anything, we've used the highest quality materials on all 4 sides of the building, and we can either have the appearance of fronts or actual frontage and utilize that as the front of the building, gain access, and that will be the front of the building.
Are you saying that that southerly side is a front, looks like a front, and that the westerly side looks like a front? Because to me, that southerly side looks like a side.
The southerly side, which would be
if the planning board wishes, we could put doors around all 4 sides and make them look like fronts. So just in all practicality, we unfortunately have 3 frontages. There's 2 side streets in William Floyd Parkway. So we understand that we've dressed this up, unlike a lot of other buildings where there's probably just a brick wall. We saw how nice the Lidl looked earlier today. You can clearly see that this has been extremely dressed up from an architectural feature.
Except that those other projects that you showed do not have a town board covenant that said the elevation shall be designed to appear as a building front facade on all 4 sides. And I think that's what the chairman is saying.
So you would like to see doors on this side as well? We'd be happy to do that. If you want to reserve and give us another week, we'll put some more doors on this place.
Well, it's going to be more than a week. Our next meeting for you will be January 25th.
I know. I just think there's got to be some realistic about how many doors and entrances we're putting on a.
Well, we didn't put the covenant on. The town board put the covenant on. But can we go to the site plan, because I'd like to see what you're proposing.
Michelle, I'd like to end that share so I can begin sharing again, please.
Sure.
If we can go to the site plan, I'd like to see the location of dumpsters and any other the mechanicals that are going to be used on this particular site.
Okay, getting it for you.
I understand you have several other locations you're proposing similar type structures. Is that correct?
We have 2 applications pending on William Floyd Parkway to also improve those sites, yes.
And those buildings also sideways, or are they facing the correct way?
They would be facing the correct way because those sites are proper in depth. As I said, this is a narrow site, so to put that building facing directly on William Floyd Parkway, I wouldn't even have enough room to get proper backup with a car. 20-foot deep parking spot with a 24-foot backup aisle, we'd be backing up onto William Floyd.
But you're falling right into what my concerns are. Maybe it's the wrong size parcel for this particular operation.
Well, I mean, I think that we had started this project about 5 years ago and had met with a variety of different departments and the like, had presented what was existing at the time, which we could have kept in that format. That building was actually larger than the building that we're proposing. And I think with the guidance of planning, and I think it was proper, that we explored a variety of different options and alternatives. And we actually wound up reducing the building from what A was originally proposed, and B, from what was existing at the site. And I think through the hard work of the various departments, highway, traffic, and the like, this was the plan that came up. And I think that it functions best out of all of them. And I understand that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but, you know, I would submit that, you know, this is, I would put this building anywhere in the town, and I think it's.
I don't think anyone's questioning the I think it's a very nice looking building. I'm concerned with the layout of the building, the town board covenant, the request frontage on all sides. The problem is, and the variances, the significant variances that you're requesting as well to fit on this property. So my concern, as well as other board members I've spoken with, is that this is the wrong piece of land for this particular size building with this project that you're proposing. If you can't face it the right way because people can't back up or can't get in and out, maybe you should have picked a different location. That's, you know, I know you've spoken to the town board, you've gone to the zoning board, but this is the planning board. We have to make the site work.
Well, I mean, when one says it's the wrong side, I don't think there are plenty of other gasoline service stations within the town of Brookhaven, either currently functioning or under construction presently, that have an interior facing portion of the building. So I wouldn't say that it's a wrong side.
Well,
you know,
if you could show me one of those buildings that's under construction right now that was approved by this board, then we have an opportunity to discuss further.
Sure, there's a bowler. Where's the bowler under construction? Okay, Glenn, I don't know if you have the building of the bowler, which is currently under construction.
I do not have that, but I do have some other projects that are built on William Floyd Parkway I could pull up again.
But how many of them have the condition, the covenant that this town board has imposed?
I'd have to do a freedom of information request and find out what those covenants are. And once again, I would submit that it's the appearance of a front facade. And it is my understanding, having been at that particular public hearing, that the goal was that it's that you use good materials. I mean, there are lots of buildings where people will use a concrete block or something like that in the back, and they don't use as good. They only use the good materials in the front. And in the back or on the sides, they use lesser quality buildings and aesthetics. And at least it was my understanding at that public hearing that the goal was to make it look good. And as a matter of fact, I think the model that they wanted us to use, though I don't see it in the actual resolution itself, was of another bowler location, which is on 347. And that particular location, it doesn't face 347. It faces the side street. So I'd be happy to provide photographs of that particular building, as well as to provide, give you the opportunity to do freedom of information request to see what was located in the resolutions approving some of those other buildings.
I believe what had happened, we were first in front of the town board for 1430 William Floyd Parkway. And Mr. Panico had worked with us on all three applications, and it came up that particular site also faces 3 streets, and he didn't want the back just to be concrete blocks similar to other strip malls, that he wanted us to finish the back of the building. So all 3 sides are going to be finished with the same materials as the front, not necessarily doors on every side, not necessarily a front entrance, but the appearance of a finished building on all 4 sides. So that's what we tried to recreate here.
Yes, what I'd like to take a look at, I want to pull out the elevations that we looked at the time that it went to the town board. And thank you for reminding me of what that application name was, because I couldn't think of it and it was similar. And I'd like to see what that looks like. And
yeah, we tried to use the same building on 3. They all are slightly different just because of the sites themselves, but we are trying to be consistent branding here, similar to a fast food place or the supermarkets. We want to keep consistent for our customers.
Beth, can you pull up the elevations again? Can you put them on the screen?
Excuse me, this is Richard Smith. I have a couple of questions. Did you try doing this layout with the building facing William Floyd Parkway?
Yes, in 2015, it was presented to, I believe, Mr. Panico's office. Connie Kleppert was there at the time. It was just a meeting to discuss the project in general, how we should proceed. If you'd like, I could probably find that 2015 drawing and show the board now and illustrate that. From an engineering standpoint, it really doesn't work.
Why didn't it work? You just didn't have the maneuverability that you were talking about?
Yeah, the depth, this is a narrow, wide lot. Unlike the Speedway across the street is much more square, a little bit deeper. You'll see Taco Bell probably buys some of the narrow lots, and they have a very skinny front door that nobody uses, and everybody goes in the side or goes through the drive-through.
Well, those are generally inline. Those are generally inline buildings.
Yeah, I think our rendering makes this an inline building too. It appears the narrow end or the front has doors and it faces William Floyd Parkway.
It would have been nice to see it. Again, we don't see it until it gets to the board, how the development worked or how it was attempted to get that building to front William Floyd Parkway.
Yeah, it's a shame. We've spent 4 years into this process and we're just coming up to this. It's heartbreaking for everybody involved because there's so much time invested. It's been to town board and we thought we were very close to getting permits at this point.
As a matter of
ground zero.
If I may, I do have the property owner here. He would like to say a couple of words. He may be a little bit emotional, but would you like to speak?
Please raise your right hand.
You have to raise your hand.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
First of all, I started this project. My name is Attila Akay. First of all, I started this project 2014. First thing, I went to the town and to town councilor, building department, and chef fire marshal, everybody, John Santana and Dan Panico, everybody was there. We showed this is the, whatever you're looking for, we showed this plan. And they said, no, this is too ugly. It's not seeing the pumps. It's not gonna be happen. This is the
I can't
project.
see what you just held up. I'm sorry. I can't see what you just held up.
Okay, this is, I'm sorry. How
I don't think it matters. Go ahead, sir.
This is the ugliest drawing. It shows the building is the back and the face to the spitway. And that meeting, everybody was there with my engineer and my lawyer. They said, no, we don't want this. And I went to the DEC. I 7.5 million DEC lien because the existing owner was messed up the soil, and $800,000 back property test, which is the town never gonna get it. With that word, I started fighting with them. And $1.2 million I paid the DEC. And just the one word, they said, okay, this project, whatever you see in this project right now on the screen, this project, go for it. I spent around $200,000 with the fees and the lawyers and the engineer. And the old building was like this. Old building was ugliness, and it was asbestos. Building was the 1940s. I could use this building with the two pumps. This ugliness can go up. I don't think so. It's not right stage. And the zoning board and the special use permit, they just talking about, we would like to see the four sides like real windows, I don't know what the covenant says, but my engineer changed this planning 46 times. I don't know. If you're gonna want me to flip over this building, I would like to scratch over again, spend 4 more years to build up the building. And also, myself, I photographed 400 photographs, which is this morning I emailed to you. All of them, none of them is except the spitway is the parallel to William Floyd Parkway. Before when they started not the Pizza at the Rite Aid, all of them junctured the William Floyd, like this building, because the structure of the road, it established east and west elevation alongside. I put this is not the right elevation. Whatever the new elevation, we put as a 3D you seen, and the front of the building is the real door. I mean, the Essex Circle can be, with the sidewalks, can become and to pick up to whatever they need.
The ugly building that you showed that was originally there for years, 50 years or so, faced William Floyd Parkway.
Exactly.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Your building, why can't your building face William Floyd Parkway?
Okay, you have to.
Mr. Chairman, we could shrink this building and to be square shaped. It would look identical to what you see now.
No, it wouldn't. Why can't you take this building we're looking at on the screen, which is a beautiful building, and put it where that building was? And they had enough. That building was probably close to 1,500 to 1,600 square feet.
If I may share my screen again, I'll pull up the 2015 drawing we prepared for a number of members of the town back when we pass these around.
I don't know why. I don't even know why we're pursuing.
Mr. Chairman, this building has no landscaping.
You know what we're looking for. You want to come back on the 25th, see if you can make it match the town board covenants, and we'll entertain this. I mean, you're trying to put a building on a site that you say does not work unless you do it this way and ask for major variances.
Would it be worth us exploring what the intent of the town covenant was? rather
whatever works for you. I'm willing to listen to anything. I mean, I just know what we're looking to do. We don't want to set a precedent when we start putting gas stations sideways. The building, I love the look of the building.
Okay, this is the 112 Boulder new gas station.
That's fine, sir. Sir, I'm going to cut you short. Let me speak to your counselor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
You want to review the town board covenant, see if you can match it, make it what they're looking to achieve. Come back with your renderings and then we'll entertain it on the 25th of January.
At the 25th of January?
I believe that's the next date, Ms. McCann, that we have available.
Yes, there's January 11th and January 25th.
Well, I'd rather go for the 25th. The 11th is going up.
Okay.
Okay. So if I could, I just want to make sure I understand. So we're trying to see that we can accomplish what it was that the town board was suggesting in their covenants. And then we would look to see what other similarly situated type of buildings and if they had similar covenants in theirs as well.
No, I don't think that's what you need to do. I think that, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just so we can get on the same page, we know what the covenants say. The covenants say it has to look like a bill, have 4 sides. Help me out. I don't have it in front of me. We all know what it says. What we're saying is that the board is not satisfied with the elevations. So it doesn't matter what the intent of the planning of the town board was at this point, as far as this. So my suggestion is that you come up with a couple of different plans. And if that means that you have to reconfigure the building, that might be something that needs to be considered. The chairman is being very specific. He does not want this building to look like it's the back of the building. He wants that's facing William Floyd. It needs to look like it's the front of a building. So if that means you have to reconfigure the building a little bit or the site a little bit, that might be something that you need to do. And that being said, feel free to Zoom staff, have a meeting, email something to us so we can kind of get all on the same page prior to the next hearing.
And since we're leaving this open to the 25th, if you have those renderings, those elevations prior, I would like the board to look at them prior so the next time we meet, perhaps we can close this out. Is that okay?
I have one question, Mr. Chairman. Is it the shape of the building and placement of the building, or is it the aesthetics of the building?
The aesthetics are fine. It's the placement and the shape. If you could modify the shape or layout so that the east side looks more of a frontage or appears to be the front, then you got yourself a game plan.
That is different than the town board covenant then, really. So,
well, the town board covenant is what the councilor just said. I mean, you have the conditions from the town board covenant, but I don't want to see sideways buildings. I mean, you have a nice looking building, but if you can make this thing work where you can either expand maybe the width or the depth or whatever you have to do to make the east side look like it's the beginning of the front, and we're not looking at the back of the building when you're driving north. Does that make sense?
I'm just hoping that you have the plans that we had submitted. So when we submit them, because I thought we accomplished that, but perhaps we didn't. So when we submit them, we just submit it to the secretary of the planning board and they will distribute them to the board members?
Yeah, ahead of time. So this way, if there's any changes, rather than waste your time and keep doing this every other month or so, we can finalize it.
Kevin, that's why I'm saying that prior to you doing that, why don't you reach out to staff? Let's reach out to staff. We can set up a meeting and we can take a look at what some of your proposals are and vet them ahead of time so we're not spinning our wheels.
Sure. Okay.
And I would like to pull out that prior approval that we did, like you said, 1430 William Floyd. I'd like to pull that one out because I just don't recall exactly what the language was and what those elevations were. So let's pull that out.
When did we do that one? Is it change to zone or is it a site plan? Or both?
Zone initially.
Is that what we put in 1430? Because I'll pull it out.
Is that a site plan? Did you go through your site plan approval yet? Anybody?
I don't believe so. I believe that was just town board as well.
Okay.
I just wanted to, Mr. Pascal, if I can just add, I mean, I think an issue that we haven't really addressed, it was mentioned earlier, but I don't know if we'd be looking at this with such scrutiny if there weren't such extreme variances being required that we're being asked to approve.
Well, that was my concern when I talked about the parcel being the proper parcel for this particular application.
Exactly. Okay.
But I mean, if you can make the building look like it does now and meet the town board conditions and everything, the variances we could work with. There's no one more business oriented than this particular board. We're not trying to stop the project. We're trying to make it work in the right way. I hope you understand that.
We'll reach out to staff. We'll set up a meeting beforehand, and hopefully at that time, next time, we'll have something that will be in everyone's best interest and will be approvable.
And we'll reach out to Mr. Albano also, since I believe he's the staff member you've been working with.
Yes, he did take over from, I think this project might have had 2 or 3 different examiners on it, but I think he is the most current.
He's the current one.
And if you can send us those plans you shared, because I don't have them up here. So if you could send them to Michael as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, well, I certainly appreciate your time. Can I have a motion to hold this to a date certain of January 25th?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to hold this matter to a date certain of January 25th, 2021.
Motion to hold to a date certain of January 25th, 2021 by Ms. Dunn.
Second, Richard Smith.
Second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly.
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Item 15, Aldi Grocery Store at Shirley.
Property is located on the north side of Montauk Highway, 188 feet east of William Floyd Parkway in Shirley. Parcel is zone J Business 2 and J Business 6 and is 6.28 acres. The application is a site plan with variance application for an Aldi grocery store at Shirley, which is proposed 1,270 square foot building addition and a 1,222 square foot loading dock and facade change.
Bringing everyone in right now.
And I do not have the staff comments. Just give me 1 second. I don't look, it doesn't look like I have, oh, that's the comments.
I have.
There we go. There's 8 staff recommendations for approval, last dated 12/7/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Councilor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Yulia Viola for the applicant, Sir Tillman Ballin, 100 Motor Parkway, Hapag, New York, 11788. I'm joined today by Mr. Damianas, who is the principal of 855 Montauk Highway LLC, who is the owner of the subject property and the applicant. Tim Shea of Sir Tillman Ballin, Mark Mancini from Mancini Architecture, Mike Marinis from Barrett Benacci, and Bruno Larenka from Aldi's Inc. South Windsor Division. I will do my presentation first, then Mr. Damianas will give his brief presentation. And if the board has any further questions, anyone from our team will be happy to answer them. As you heard from the call of the meeting, the applicant proposes 2 modifications to the existing 25,459 square foot 1-story building C in the Floyd Harbor Center by adding 1-story 1,270 square foot addition on the southeast side of the existing building C and 1-story 1,222 square foot loading dock extending from the west side of the existing building C to the east side of building B to accommodate a new tenant, Aldi grocery store. As such, the proposed building area will be increased by 2,492 square feet. Building C and Building B were originally designed without an adequate loading dock, which is basically a necessity for a grocery store. and the one-story addition on the southeast side of the existing building C is required to make the store operational. The overall design of building C will be consistent with the architectural design and character of Floyd Harbor Shopping Center. The Floyd Harbor Shopping Center has been largely vacant for many years and currently has only 2 tenants, Applebee's and AT&T. In fact, the store in building C that Aldi is looking to rent has never been occupied since it was built 15 years ago. The applicant is also proposing parking lot reconfiguration, replacement of the existing pylon sign with a new one at the same location, and 2 non-illuminated wall signs. The proposed wall signs are designed in accordance with Aldi's corporate design criteria and specification, taking into consideration the size and height of building C and location of the building C in the shopping center. In fact, the wall signs at the fully operational Aldi stores in Selden and Patchogue are all made of exactly the same materials as the wall signs we're proposing. The proposed wall signs are designed with gooseneck lighting and are not backlit. On September 23rd of this year, Zoning Board of Appeals granted our application for a variance for a maximum floor area and the height and area variances for the wall and ground signs. Lastly, the applicant had recently presented this project to the Chamber of Commerce of the Mastics and Shirley Inc., which indicated its support in its letter dated November 12, 2020, which was submitted to the board. We have reviewed staff recommendations and are in agreement with the proposed conditions. The only request that the applicant has for the board is to remove a comma after the word material in the condition number 2, so that condition number 2 is clear and means that materials of all wall signage proposed by the applicant are approved by the planning board. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. That concludes your presentation, Councilman?
Yes, and I believe Mr. Damianis will now make his own presentation.
Okay, did you say, I maybe I misheard, but did you say something about November 12th, 2020? Is that when you came from that?
No, I referred to the September 23rd.
Oh, okay, all right.
2020 BZA hearing.
All right. Mr. Damianis available?
I'm here.
Okay, please raise your right hand, sir. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board, good evening, and thank you for hearing our application today. My name is Chris Damianos, principal of 855 Montauk Highway, LLC, the applicant. My family have continuously been commercial landlords for over 52 years in the town of Brookhaven. We currently have commercial rental properties in Stony Brook, Setauket, Port Jeff Station, Patchogue, Centum Riches, and now Shirley, as well as many other communities across Suffolk County. We are proud of all of our projects, and every single one of them have been successful. While we don't perform as much ground-up construction as we have in the past, we specialize in turning around troubled, underperforming real estate. We all know, with our know-how, hard work, and capital, we have turned multiple troubled properties into real estate that we, the town, and the communities involved can all be proud of. This shopping center, we all know, is troubled. We purchased it 2 years ago from the estate of Joseph Parisi, the original developer. As Ms. Viola said before, it's currently 85% vacant with only 2 tenants, Applebee's and AT&T. While the center was built 15 years ago, the store that Aldi's is looking to rent from us has never been occupied since it was built. That tells us all something, or that should tell us all something. The center, while beautiful and in a great location at the corner of William Floyd Parkway and Montauk Highway, has its challenges. It is neither a small strip center nor a large big box type of center. It was not designed to have a major tenant, which is exactly what it needs for the balance of the vacant stores to rent. There was no provision for a tailboard loading dock. It was set far away from the major street being Montauk Highway, and to boot, it was constructed as 3 separate buildings. We sought out who would be the perfect anchor tenant for the center, that being Aldi's. We have the support of the community, of the Chamber of Commerce of the Mastics and Shirley. The world of retail is reeling right now, and that's been going on since well before this pandemic began. What we need from you are the tools to make this shopping center successful and competitive with the other retail centers in the area. The community wants to see an Aldi's. We respectfully request that you grant these planning board variances and approvals we need to proceed to the building department. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dominus, thank you. I remember when this building was first put up, there was supposedly a ShopRite shopping center or a ShopRite supermarket proposed at that location. I don't know if you're aware of that. And they specifically requested the loading docks in those positions. Now, these are some of the changes you're willing to make.
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there any other council? Is there anyone else on you want to present on this application?
I don't think so.
No?
Unless the board has any questions.
Well, we may. I want to go out to the public first. I wasn't sure if you had someone else on your staff that wanted to present the application. Is it Councilor Raitt, are you available?
There's no one here from the public.
Okay, does the board have any questions?
No.
You're closing off the one street, is that correct? You want to close off the street, cut through from the parking to McGraw Street?
Well, the old loading dock of Grant Avenue will be closed.
Okay.
And will be replaced with a 1-story addition.
Okay. I don't think there's any questions. I think it's going to be a welcome change to the community. Hopefully, it invigorates that shopping center. So with that being said, I'd like to ask for a motion to close this hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Ms. Dunn.
Second, Richard Smith.
Second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly.
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great holiday, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
You too.
Item number 16, Tyler Avenue is withdrawn. Item 17, Oriole Run at East Mauritius.
Beth will be back. Oh, there she is.
I just saw her walk in.
You made it just in time, Beth, for 17. I was going to start reading it.
Okay, great. I got it. Sorry. It's a preliminary subdivision application with cluster treatment. It's located in the hamlet of East Mauritius, is 13.40 acres, is Zone A Residence 1. It is in East Mauritius School District, but Center Mauritius Post Office. They're seeking approval to divide 13.4 acres into 11 lots, utilizing a cluster design. The lots will range in size from 25,333 square feet to 33,361 square feet. A 5.357 acre parcel is proposed to be dedicated to the town for open space. A stormwater recharge basin and associated drainage structures are also proposed. The recharge basin that will be tapped into an adjoining site called Southwind Estates. The staff recommends approval subject to 37 conditions, last dated 11/20/2020.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is the applicant present, Council?
Yes, they're in the meeting.
Yes. My name is Mark Saglioka with addresses at 131 East Main Street, Bayshore. I am the applicant. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for hearing our preliminary.
Mr. Saglioka, before you continue, can you please raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay, sir. Go ahead. Present your application.
As Ms. Riley has presented, this is a subdivision of residence A1 clustering to B1. It's been an ongoing application since 2005. We've been working alongside planning for a number of years, and it has developed into a little bit more than we thought. At one point, when we were close to approval, we were asked to participate in the Quarter Shore from the Open Space and Farmland Acquisition Advisory Committee. So at that point, we agreed to work with them, and we did I want to call it a land swap, but it had to go to the State Assembly, where they took a portion of our land to the east, and I believe we acquired some land to the north. That was town of Brookhaven land, in order to balance out the site and make the subdivision work, as well as the Quarter Shore open space to the east of us. Since then, we've been working out some drainage issues. I have my engineer here. If any questions come up regarding that, Jerry Demaro. Otherwise, I would like to just comment on a few items that are on the 30-something conditions that I was handed on Friday. They were revised from the original 9-lot subdivision that I'm hoping that the board can clear up or possibly work with us on. I believe that's it. So if I could, can I go ahead and talk about some of these covenants, conditions?
Yes, please, go. Whatever you want to ask now.
Okay. So I went into the conditions here with Mr. Demaro, who was by my side, and I asked him about number 5, which talks about runoff and drainage, because we spent an extensive amount of time on that. In fact, the 15 years or so that we've been working on this, the drainage calculation for the town of Brookhaven has changed, has increased. But we do have all the drainage that we have calculated is including the runoff from the roof drainage and the drainage that would fall upon each individual lot. So I don't know if now is the time, but we ask that any drainage pools for the lots be excluded from a condition.
Commissioner, can you put, excuse me, Savio, can you put the staff recommendations up so we can see them?
That's the one about the leaders and gutters to dry wells that he's referring to?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that was one. Number 6, you know, again, I've been building for quite some time now, and this is the first I've seen, although I could see the practicality in it, but it talks about if seeding is impractical, that straw mulch should be applied until favorable weather permits. So we all know, and I've built 500 or 600 homes over my time frame, that it's kind of difficult to get back into somebody's property to seed it afterwards. So I would ask if there's possibly a condition instead of the straw mulch, because everybody, when you get close to finishing their home, wants to get in sooner than later, and the process to get the CO these days does take a little bit longer. But I would ask that in lieu of that, that possibly I could post a small cash bond just to get the CO until the time for germination is appropriate. And then upon inspection, that cash bond could be released. You know, I was thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $2,500.
Okay, we're still talking about the recommendation number 6 portion, correct?
These are all staff recommendations. That was number 6, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm making notes.
So I'm a hands-on builder. I was taught by my grandfather and my dad. So, you know, I get involved with every house, every lot, every clearing, any aspect of the building. So when you go down to 14 and 15, I was a little not taken back, as you know, I just heard the applicant for axe throwing, so I'm not taken back by anything anymore. But 14 refers to clearing the lot or sweeping the lot which I understand because we found many turtles over the years and have, moved them over to different areas. But they want me to, it seems, get a professional in within 10 days prior to clearing to, I'm thinking, sign off on the lot that there's no amphibious creatures on there, as opposed to leaving it up to, me as the developer.
Commissioner, can you scroll the recommendations up so we could see what Mr. Aguilar is referring to? You're talking about item 14 now?
That's 14.
The wildlife sweep
The
condition?
wildlife sweep, I believe, yes.
Now, if that's a new procedure the town of Brookhaven has, I understand it. I'd be happy to follow it. I've never come across that.
It's been standard as long as I've been here.
Yeah, it's a boilerplate. It's pretty common when it comes to development on the parcels. We always ask for a wildlife sweep.
Okay. We just finished a 16 lot just north of this, and I guess that wasn't part of my condition, so I guess that was put in just after that one. I did speak with Peter Fontaine on 15, because this is another one that I've never seen. And he said this was pretty much out of their hands at DEP because it was a New York State DEC condition or a rule or law. And I asked that, again, as a builder, this is a very difficult thing to work with because, when you sell a house, you go to contract with somebody who wants a house built, and most of them become custom homes. We have a time frame to work in because either they're leaving their house or they're living with their parents, or there's always a condition, on a time frame. Well, when are you going to be able to deliver my house? And I usually say the town of Brookhaven anywhere from 10 to 14 months, depending on, the weather and conditions, the inspections, blah, blah, blah. But I have a certain window. But with 15, I can no longer give them that window. And I fear that there's not going to be, there's going to be very few people that are going to be willing to work within these conditions as far as clearing each lot and being restricted thereof. So I ask if there's any way possible that, let me just finish, please.
No. I
would ask if there's any possibility, since we've been working on this preliminary map for some 10, 15 years, that I'd be grandfathered in any possible way. I realize it's out of the Brookhaven, the new code is outside of Brookhaven's purview, but is there
I can answer that question for you. This is regulated by the New York State DEC. So if you're not going to operate between the timeframes that's set forth in number 15, then you have to go to the DEC.
I understand that totally, and Mr. Fontaine explained that very well to me today. But I'm wondering, so the question I'm asking about being grandfathered in since this application has been in so long would be in front of the DEC, not the town of Brookhaven. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I've never seen anything like this, and I don't know how builders or developers can operate around this when you're,
well,
I don't know if any of you, excuse me.
You may not have seen it before because if you're not building in an area where, this endangered or a species may have a habitat, then you wouldn't be required to ask for this permit. It's just very specific to this species and this property. So my point is this isn't standard in a subdivision application, but because it's state law, there's nothing that the town can do. You'd have to comply with the state law or seek to get a permit.
Yeah.
Okay. So on number 22, so, and this ties into the other questions where it says individual lot clearing. So again, years ago, we were able to go in and clear the road and the right of way in the individual lots. As I understand this now is that we can go ahead and clear the road and the right of way for utilities and putting the improvements in, but each individual lot can only get cleared under a building permit. And that building permit is subject to number 15 and number 14 that we just discussed. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, well. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, on my questions. I would like to, I've been trying to move this along, and part of me being working with the Open Space and Farmland Acquisition Advisory Board, which took probably a good year or so. I asked that they, work with us moving this application along to final. So I just am requesting that from this preliminary hearing forward, that the town of Brookhaven could work a little more diligent in getting to a final approval.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor, any public speakers on this application?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Does the board have any questions? May I have a motion?
Are we closing this?
Yes.
Mr. Okay. Yes. I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing and place the matter on the decision calendar.
Motion to close by Ms. Dunn.
Second by Richard
Second by
Smith.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly.
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Did the applicant for item number 4 ever?
Thank you. Have a happy holiday, all.
Thank you. No, the applicant for number 4 did not appear.
Well, that completes the agenda. I'd like to go back to item number 1.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I make a motion to deny the increase in clearing limit from 48 to 70%, but to approve the increase in clearing limit from 48 to 60% with staff recommendations 1 through 5, last revised October 13th, 2020 as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Okay, motion by Ms. Dunn.
Second, Richard Smith.
Second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Mr. Kelly.
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Item 2 is being held to January 25th, 2021. Item number 3, Warren Avenue, Bosworth, Ronkonkoma.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if I should leave that on the decision calendar or just go ahead with what I have in mind.
Number 3?
Well, I mean, I'm inclined to stay with the original elevations. If you want to leave it on a decision calendar, we can discuss it amongst the board.
Yeah, I think I'd like that.
Okay. All right. So item 3 is going to stay on decision calendar. Item number 4, Allied Physicians Group LLC at Rocky Point.
No one appeared. Should I
adjourn it?
Adjourn
it to a date certain of January 25th?
It says that, can I just ask though, it says that it's for, is it for splitting the space and also the modification, the facade, Beth?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I just was gonna say we might be able to approve it.
We could. The only thing is, the sign, we're not recommending approval, and I don't know if they understand that.
That's fine. That was why I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But usually, we would just do it.
Okay.
Make a motion to move this matter to adjourn this matter to a date certain of January 25th, 2020.
A motion by Ms. Dunn.
2021.
Yes.
2021.
Motion by Ms. Dunn.
Second by Richard Smith.
By Mr. Smith, Mr. Zarcone.
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly.
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Item 5. Enterprise at Rocky Point.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this application to remove a condition from the prior approval with staff recommendations 1 through 4, last revised December 4th, 2020 as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Can I just question that? I mean, I thought the new recommendations were modified to the condition to not exceed 10. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yes, we removed that. It says 3 and we added 10. So
okay.
The staff recommendations reflect that.
Okay. Okay, so motion by Ms. Dunn.
Second, Richard Smith.
Second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. The Meadows at Yathang, Phase 1B at Yathang.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this application subject to staff recommendation A, letter A, last revised December 7th as covenants and conditions of the approval, 2020.
Motion by Ms. Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, this is Board Member Pete Zarcone. I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Zarcone. Ms. Dunn.
Aye.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Lidl at Shirley facade change.
On that one, I left a note for myself that the staff recommendation is that all work is supposed to be done in accordance with those elevations, and those elevations don't show windows. So do you want us to change that language, or do you want to go with it as is, understanding that you're only doing that centerpiece?
No, that's a good point, because the elevations were Mr. Smith brought out.
It could be as per the photograph, the modified photograph.
Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine, because right now, number one doesn't necessarily match. Let me pull that up.
Do we have copies of those photographs?
I'm pulling them up, it's just my computer's
Okay.
a little slow, sorry.
Yeah, I think that north elevation.
It looks like it's page 5. It looks like it's page 5.
Yeah,
It looks like it's page 5.
I think what they meant is it's not the whole thing, but I believe that elevation, and I could be wrong, is that the north elevation that we're looking at?
Yes.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is? Okay, so yeah, that's what we want it to look like.
So do you want to say page 5 of the site plan prepared by that? You want to change that instead of all work to be done with elevation? Or we could change it to A200B, because that's what's on the bottom of page 5 there. So why don't we just change that A to B?
Yeah.
And I think you'll be good.
It looks like they took a shortcut on their elevation rendering. They just are more interested in the signage. And,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so whose motion is this? Is this yours, Karen?
Yes.
All right, so just change that A200A to A200B and you'll be okay.
Okay. I don't have that one in front of me. I wrote it out without that. I would make a
Want me to
motion.
read it into the record for you?
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, number 1, to be changed to all work to be in accordance with elevation A-200B, prepared by Chelsea L. Rawson, dated August 14th, 2020. Is number 1's amendment.
Okay. So with that amendment, I make a motion to approve this application for a facade change with staff recommendations 1 through 8 with the amendment that was just read into the record, last revised 11/24/20 as covenants and conditions of the approval.
a motion by Ms. Dunn,
Second by Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith, Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Sills Road Bus Depot MDS fleet at Yathang.
Mr. Chairman, I may make a motion to approve this. Make a motion to approve the requesting modification last revised on November 12th, 2020 as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Ms. Kelly,
Mr. Chairman, Board Member Pete Zarcone seconds the motion.
second by Mr. Zarcone, Ms. Dunn,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. SMW Properties Holdings Rocky Point.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this application to modify a previous approval with elevation with staff recommendations 1 through 3, last revised November 30th, 2020 as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard
Second by
Smith.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Item 10, the Arboretum in Farmingville, multifamily.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this application with all staff comments 1 through 6 dated 11/18/2020 as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Mr.
I second that
Zarcone,
motion.
second by Ms. Kelly. Ms. Dunn,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. This next one, Bob, was my mind. Lumberjacks at Sullivan.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the negative declaration on this application.
Motion for a neg deck by Mr. Rose,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Ms. Dunn.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Before John makes the final motion on that, do we have to wait on anything else on it, like the liquor license or anything like that, or is it all subject to?
I'm pretty sure you go to the building department and get it, but you can't serve alcohol until he gets his liquor license from the SLA. That's out.
Yeah, he doesn't need it now. It's tied into his permits for place of public assembly. It's really the clerk. It sounds funny, but it's really the clerk's office that ends up getting that information. They have to come in, like the liquor authority comes in, they ask the clerk's office for certain information, and then they can go back, and then the liquor authority would issue the permit.
Wow.
Okay.
That's it. That's
Okay.
wild.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a further motion to approve the applicant's request for a change of use to change 3 vacant offices into an axe throwing venue where a special permit for assembly and social recreation hall is required. This approval includes a grant for a planning board special permit number 85-427A, and also includes staff recommendations numbering 1 through 4, last revised on October 6th, 2020 as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Mr. Rose,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Ms. Dunn.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Brixmore is held to January 13. Long Island Surf Park in Shirley. We moving with this?
Yes. I make a motion for a negative secret declaration.
Motion for a neg deck by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0.
I make a further motion to approve this application to amend the site plan and special use permits 85-564J for outdoor recreation and 85-565F for accessory restaurant, takeout restaurant, and deli, with staff recommendations 1 through 12, last dated November 17th, 2020, as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Item 14 to be held on January 25th, 2021. Item 15, Aldi Grocery Store, Shirley.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for a negative secret declaration.
Motion for a neg deck by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
I make a further motion to approve this site plan with facade changes and 11 variances as listed, with staff recommendations 1 through 8, last dated 12/7/20, as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye. I vote aye.
okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Rose.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Tyler Avenue is withdrawn. Oriole Run at East Mauritius, item number 17.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for a negative secret declaration.
Motion for a neg deck by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard Smith.
second by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Chairman, I make a further motion to approve this application for preliminary subdivision with cluster treatment with staff recommendations 1 through 37, last dated 12/4/20, as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard
second by
Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Did you
Mr.
guys
Zarcone.
want to change any of the conditions, Lee? The
Oh,
one
right.
about no building permit?
Oh, yeah.
What if we added that to tree clearing permit due to the limits caused by the bats?
You had questions
What
on
did it say?
5.
It says that you can't clear until you have a building permit.
Building permit? Mhm.
Yeah, and we have had projects within this area where we did let them get a tree clearing permit while they were, because of this.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
It wasn't subdivisions, it was commercial projects, but then at least it could be evaluated by the staff and there's an opportunity other than this 3 months. So we could, what do you think?
That doesn't conflict with the state regulation?
Well, it would be during the period that they're allowed to clear.
Okay, all right.
Because if they don't have a building permit in February and they're getting a permit in April, then they can't clear. So it maybe would give us an opportunity, because any residential lot more than 2 acres needs a tree clearing permit. What do you think, Lee?
I mean, I think that's okay because I understand the inconvenience of having, you know, your people on site clearing for certain parts of the project. And then you can't clear for other parts and it's, you know,
Yeah.
But they're not going to, you know, it's the tree clearing permit is going to be for the overall site.
I think we can come in lot by lot. We can make them come in overall. I mean, because they're going to have, you know, it's up right now. It's nothing. So we could write something.
I mean, if we've done it in the past for the commercial
We did it
lots
for
in the
commercial,
area.
yeah.
I mean, this is the cluster, you know, there's going to be a lot of open space. So it seems like that would be a reasonable way to work it.
A system. So what if we just say add the word, Karen, do you need help on that one? It was.
What number?
22.
22.
Say
22.
add the word or tree clearing permit. This way it gives them an opportunity and we can look at it and see if it makes sense.
Okay. I'm going to amend my motion to approve this application for a preliminary subdivision with cluster treatment with staff recommendations 1 through 37, amending recommendation number 22 to replace a valid building permit with or tree clearing permit, and the rest of the recommendations stay as stated in the staff recommendations, dated 12/4/20, as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Ms. Dunn,
Second, Richard
second by
Smith.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carries. MD 365, we're leaving on the senior calendar, Beth?
Yep.
You want to do the findings that finally add that comment? Mariano Rivera, Honda at Port Jeff Station.
We do have the effective date on this change of zone, so the board can vote.
Okay, that's Mr. Smith's.
I make a motion to approve the construction of an automotive sales and service facility.
You need a neg deck.
We did see.
I'm sorry, forgive me.
Okay. It's okay.
I make a motion for a negative
Yeah,
declaration.
motion for a neg deck by Mr. Smith,
And I second that motion.
second by Ms. Dunn. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose,
Aye.
the chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0.
Okay, I make a further motion to approve the construction of an automotive sales and service facility with associated site improvements and variances as presented, along with staff recommendations numbered 1 through 10, last dated October 23rd, 2020, as covenants and conditions of the approval.
Motion by Mr. Smith,
Second.
second by Ms. Dunn. Mr. Zarcone,
I vote aye.
Ms. Kelly,
I vote aye.
Mr. Rose,
Aye.
the chair votes aye. Motion carries. U-Haul, we have the conditions as far as removal of those trailers.
They're before the Board of Appeals, so we're waiting to hear back from them.
All right, so we leave it.
Yes.
I guess that's it. Jeez. you're gonna have staff work with that gas station, 520 gas station, and maybe as he's working along, you let me know, we could pass the information to the boss so you can see
Absolutely.
exactly what's, okay?
Any, were there elevations that, new elevations that they did present to planning staff that we never saw?
Just what he presented tonight.
Yeah, they weren't uploaded into IQM2, so I'm gonna speak with Michael in the morning.
I didn't see it. I didn't see anything other than what he presented tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to see when they came in, you know.
I mean, that town board covenant, as far as all four sides looking like a front, I mean, I don't know, is that the way it's actually written?
It is, and I think that it gives us some direction, but we should probably figure out, like he's saying, he wants something branded. He wants something that's going to look like the other site, which has a similar situation. So we should probably just get on the same page. That's why I said I'd like to look at the language in the covenant. I'd like to look at what was submitted at the time it went to the town board, and then see, you know, maybe he needs to reconfigure. Maybe he can't, but at least then we'll know.
Okay. No, because he has several other applications similar to this. I mean, I want to get it right the first time.
This is an actually pretty small building compared to what we usually see. It's only like 1,700 square feet.
Yeah, my concern was the building that was there originally was about 1,500 to 1,600 square feet.
Yeah, that's all that fits.
And it faced the highway. I mean, you know.
All right, well,
granted, it only had two pumps. It didn't have a canopy and all the other glitzy stuff that they do today. So,
well, it's probably better to have him meet with us and meet with staff than keep going back and forth in front of the board.
okay, well, that's why I asked the whole of the 25th, so it's sufficient time. All right, anything anybody wants to add?
I'm just wondering, where are we going for our Christmas dinner? Oh, that's right, that's not this year. Sorry.
We're going to go axe throwing.
Oh,
We're going where?
Axe
really
throwing.
All right. Well, I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I'll see you guys next year.
Yes. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year,
Happy
everybody.
holidays, everybody.
Stay healthy.
We're trying.
Well, stay healthy. Be well.
You too, Steve, if you can hear us.
Steve went to sleep.
No.
Okay.
I'll keep in touch with him.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.